Open your eyes! You're clearly not thinking if you're still willing to sleep with this lady. I'm warning you, Alan. What's going on between you and that Viper will only end in heartbreak. The best thing I can think of is providing Quinlan with her own news program. Maybe you should help her dream to come true. If you want to help so bad, Zeke, just keep your mouth shut. Aight, if that's what you want. Take care of yourself, Yvette. Why does it feel like you've been ignoring me, JJ? Because I'm not really trying to hear how you spent the night with Yvette during her house party. That's something you don't have to worry about. Nothing happened between Yvette and I. She broke up with me. Yvette, it's Mom and Dad. We're home. You really kept this place nice while we were away. I'm really impressed. What do you want, Pacho? To offer you the opportunity to share your side of the story and to prove to the world that you're not a heartless homewrecker. Dr. Murphy, we've got an issue, a huge issue. It's my mom. I already know, Alan. I know that she found out about us. What made you change your mind about hooking up with Yvette? I wasn't the one who backed out. It was Yvette who decided to change her mind. That's not what I expected. How come she changed her mind? She wouldn't give me a straight answer. I wasn't even in her room for like a minute. Then she just asked me to leave. What do you want me to say, Keith? I feel bad for you? Because I don't. Not when I told you over and over again that Yvette would just take advantage and hurt your feelings. Since she did hurt me, she'll be sorry. What's the matter, Yvette? I really missed you. And we missed you too, baby. Honestly. Your mother's right. That's why we kept calling you all the time, to make sure that you were alright. But you didn't sound too good over the phone. Because I haven't been feeling that great when you guys were away. Do we need to take you to see a doctor? No. Seeing a doctor is the last thing I need. Have you forgotten that I denied your request to speak about my affair with Gianni? Since you showed your true colors, Pacho, I'm not gonna take your offer. Quinlan, I wouldn't have even come up with the news program and asked Dr. Murphy to be a part of it if D.A. Russo didn't come after me. So instead of coming up with another plan, you betrayed my trust by exposing something that I told you in confidence. And I'm sorry for going behind your back. Look, if you share your side of the story, then I'll be able to help develop the news program you always wanted to have. It's obvious to me that my mom already confronted you about it. When? Right after she caught the two of us being reckless together. This is all my fault, Dr. Murphy. I should have known that my family would keep an eye on you after you spoke against Finnegan and Heidi. At least your mother isn't a Russo. I'm relieved that your father's side of the family doesn't know about us. Yet. If you don't want them to know, then I'll make sure they don't. Most of all, I'll make sure to keep my mother quiet. What do you mean Yvette will be sorry? All I'm saying is that I would have been the only guy who would have treated her with respect. Instead, she tossed me aside as if I was garbage. Keith, you can do so much better than a girl like Yvette. You're right, JJ. I deserve to have a girl who'd appreciate the sort of love I can give. Hold on. Don't you think you should take a break when it comes to dating? Like you're the one to talk. Excuse me? Don't speak to me like I'm dumb. I know there's something going on with you and Ulissa, just like there's something going on between Vanessa and Max Russo. Were you just feeling upset that you couldn't come to Martha's Vineyard with us this year? Yvette, it's not that we didn't want you to be with us. It's just that we couldn't let you enjoy a vacation after you made such a serious, false allegation against Max Russo. I understand. Accusing Max of something so disgusting was the dumbest, most selfish decision I ever made. And we know how much you regret your choices. I'll regret it for as long as I live. I've been thinking, and I realized that I should make it up to Max. Make it up to Max how? By admitting to the police that I lied. I can't believe that you're giving me this ultimatum. It's not an ultimatum, Quinlan. If you share your side of the story and you get a positive reaction out of it, that would give you the perfect opportunity to have your own program developed. And you think that I'd believe you this time around? I understand that my choices have affected our business relationship, and I don't want to see you leave this company when you're such an incredible reporter. This is all about business to you, Pacho? Me admitting my personal bad life choices? Business is a part of it, yes, but what I also don't want to lose is your respect. How do you plan to keep your mother silent when it seems like her main goal is to tear us apart? My relationship with my mom is pretty rocky at the moment. She knows I would never forgive her if she ran and told my dad or anyone else in my family about you and I. I get that you're trying to think positive, Alan, but I feel like your mother will do whatever it takes to see me get out of your life. Well, neither of us want that. I'm determined to make sure that you and I stay together for as long as we can. Believe me, Alan, if your mother ends up telling your father, then you won't want to stay with me anymore. In fact, you'd end up despising me. There's nothing going on between Ulissa and I. As for Vanessa and Max, they're just friends. Not only do you think I'm dumb, but you think I'm blind too. Clearly, your head is all over the place. I think you need to get out of here, Keith. Gladly. Yvette, you're not gonna do such a thing. Listen to your mother. You dropped the charges against Max. He didn't face any legal consequences. We don't need you getting into trouble with the police. But I deserve to be punished. I made you and a lot of people think that Max was some sort of monster who committed an ugly crime against me. If I didn't admit to what he did, then he might have ended up in prison. What matters most is that he isn't in prison, Yvette. Exactly. You've learned from your mistakes. It's time to leave all of that in the past now. You should have considered about how you would lose my respect before you went behind my back. You're absolutely right, and I regret what I've done. But I really hope that you don't pass up on an important opportunity just because you've lost your trust in me. You don't have to make a decision right away, Quinlan, but the offer still stands whenever you're ready. What have you done that would ever make me hate you? Your father and we have a very toxic history. If you're not ready to tell me, then you don't have to say anything. I doubt it would make me despise you. Let me ask you this. What makes you think that I won't expose you for your actions? You say that now because I mean it, Dr. Murphy. Nothing in the whole wide world would ever make me stop caring about you the way I do. We're gonna get through this. Maybe the issue is that you don't trust me. I'm trying to be patient with you, so I'm giving you until the end of the week. You've got a week to tell me what's going on. If you're not honest with me, then we are done, for good this time. Clearly, your head is all over the place. I think you need to get out of here, Keith. Gladly. But I really hope that you don't pass up on an important opportunity just because you've lost your trust in me. You don't have to make a decision right away, Quinlan, but the offer still stands whenever you're ready. Guess this is goodbye. What do you need, D.A. Russo? It's not really a need, Mr. Grant. This is more of a question. I know that Wanda and Udell were away at Martha's Vineyard. Have you missed her? How do you even know that Wanda went away? Word gets around, Mr. Grant. If that's the case, then I suggest that you worry about yourself. Again with the attitude. I would have thought you would be in a better mood since Wanda is back in town. Quinlan, what made you think that I was ready to speak with you? Something came up, Ben, and we need to discuss it. Discuss what? Pacho gave me the opportunity to share my side of the story about my affair with Gianni. I'm glad you came right before the deadline, Zeke. Are you ready to come clean about everything? Keith, what are you doing here? Wanda came back? When? Didn't you just ask me to stay out of your business? Besides, you two are friends. How did you not know? I bet you'd love to hear that my friendship with Wanda is over. That's certainly a surprise. When did this happen and why are you two no longer friends? Did you accept Pacho's offer? I didn't. Here's a better question. Did you reject it? No. Now we're getting somewhere. How come you're still sitting on Pacho's offer, Quinlan? He promised me that if I get a good reception out of sharing my side, then he would develop my own news program. Are you truly willing to open up old wounds? The same sort of wounds that drove us apart in the first place? Just to score a new position in your career? I ain't cheating on you with Yvette. I ain't cheating on you with anyone. Do you believe me, Nichelle? Alright, Zeke. I believe you. Now don't blow it. What's the real issue that's affecting our relationship? There ain't no easy way to tell you this. Please tell me that you're not dealing again. I ain't. There ain't no way I'm gonna take advantage of you when you gave me the job at this hotel. Is this something that would hurt me? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know, Zeke? What are you hiding? I'm still watching X-rated videos. Keith, what do you want? I really need to get home. JJ's not speaking to me, and I wanted to know if you could speak with him. I'm really sorry that you're having issues with JJ, but I've got a lot on my plate, which is why I really need to leave. Besides, I don't really feel comfortable getting in between you guys. Just think of it as helping your little brother keep his friendship. My mind is made up. Like I told you, I've got issues of my own to deal with. Is that another way of saying that you're spending a lot of time with Max Russo? My friendship with Wanda coming to an end is none of your concern. Are you really gonna do this, Mr. Grant? Flip-flop about what I can know and what's none of my business? If you ask me, I didn't think your friendship was gonna last anyway. Clearly, you're not gonna stop being nosy. What made you so certain that I was gonna lose Wanda as a friend? Isn't it obvious? Her daughter lied to the police about my son. Wanda knew that was always gonna be a complication. Even though Wanda and I are no longer friends, it doesn't make me believe Yvette any less. Can I at least take a guess as to why the friendship is over? Did you end the friendship with Wanda because you doubted that you could trust her? Or did she continue to keep her distance? I'm well aware of how my actions have hurt you, Ben, which is why I wanted to discuss this with you before I made a decision. We wouldn't have needed to discuss it to begin with if you only had turned down Pacho's offer. You know how much I regret my choices. The issue is that the world doesn't know that I regret it. Haven't you considered that if you speak about the affair, then you'd only be adding fuel to the fire? I don't see how I would be making the situation worse. In fact, I'm trying to make it better. Ben, I want to progress in my career. How can I do that if I'm labeled as some slut? You didn't think about that before you hopped into bed with my father? It's beginning to make sense. I don't know why I ever thought you stopped watching them to begin with. That's all you gotta say. I can tell you how hurt I feel because you admitted to me that you started watching X-rated videos when you were an 11-year-old kid the same time I found out you cheated on me with Yvette. And that's why I stayed silent. I wasn't sure how you'd react. You expect me to buy that? I'm telling you the truth, Nichelle. I want you to know that you can trust me. Do you think you're being honest with yourself, Zeke? What you mean? Did you keep this from me because you were ashamed, embarrassed, and didn't know how I take it? Or did you keep this a secret because deep down you know that was why you couldn't be intimate with me when we got back together? What makes you think that Max has anything to do with my crazy life right now? Everyone can see it, Vanessa. Everyone can see how much you like him. Max is my friend, Keith. Don't give me that. We both know that you think of him as more than just a friend. Alright, Keith. What exactly is going on between you and JJ? Because I'm starting to believe that my brother isn't the problem. Does that mean you'll help me? If you're the problem, Keith, there's no way I'm gonna make time to take your side. Not when I'm already dealing with enough issues of my own. If you're worried that your little stalker is gonna send you more letters, then I think you're worrying over nothing. Keith, how do you know I'm being stalked? I need you to get out, D.A. Russo. I would say that I'm sorry to hear about your friendship coming to an end, but I don't usually sympathize for people who come after my children. According to Owen, Wanda doesn't want to be his friend anymore. How's he taking it? Can't say he's taking it well, but this news came out of the blue. Is it me, or does it feel like Owen and Wanda might have had an intimate moment? If that's the case, it sounds like we're one step closer to getting justice for Max. Are you seriously against me speaking about my life choices, no matter how bad they were? I just thought you'd try to fight to save our relationship rather than fighting to save your career. Why do I have to choose between the two, Ben? How come I can't have both? Would you rather me sacrifice my entire career just to keep you happy? I'm not saying that, Quinlan. All I ask is that you see if this scandal can blow over. Sorry, but I'm not sure if I can take that chance. Even if it does and I do progress in my career, I can't risk someone digging up dirt in my past and bringing it up when I never even addressed it. I just can't. That ain't it. You're literally watching strangers go at it on a device. I'm competing with a computer, Z. Was sleeping with me really a disappointment for you? Nah, I told you that it wasn't. How am I supposed to believe that? Especially since you've kept this from me for months. I'm sorry. This is why I ain't say nothing. I ain't want to hurt you, Nichelle. All you had to do was be open with me from the beginning. It's clear that you've got an addiction and need help. Not you too. I ain't some addict. Until you can admit that you've got a problem, I think you should stay away. Go. JJ told me about the stalking, except he promised me that he wouldn't tell anyone else. Sorry to break it to you, Vanessa, but your brother broke his promise. No, I don't believe that. Only my family, Ulissa, Max, and his family knew I was being stalked. They all knew that the less people who knew about the stalker, the safer I would be. He does have it under control, Vanessa, because he was able to prove that he's been stalking you. You honestly believe that he's my stalker? Again, I don't know. But because of how severe this situation is, I would keep all of my options open if I were you. I won't lie. This teddy bear is really adorable. I don't see why I can't hold on to it. Oh my goodness. This whole time, it was you. Vanessa, you're my stalker. You've been stalking me this whole time. Oh my goodness. This whole time, it was you. Vanessa, you're my stalker. You've been stalking me this whole time. Alright, Mom. Now you know. Does that mean you're gonna run and tell Finnegan? Not you too. I ain't some addict. Until you can admit that you've got a problem, I think you should stay away. Go. Sorry, but I'm not sure if I can take that chance. Even if it does and I do progress in my career, I can't risk someone digging up dirt in my past and bringing it up when I never even addressed it. I just can't. Zeke, what's wrong? Why does it look like you're ready to punch a wall? Like you don't know, Quinn. Know what? 'Cause of you, I might have lost Nichelle for good. Glad I caught you before you left. At least one of us is glad that you're here. Ben, I know that I haven't really gotten the chance to speak to you after your father publicly admitted to his infidelity. That's a nice way of saying that you threw Quinlan under the bus. Now the whole world knows what sort of woman she is. Have these recent events helped you to figure out whether you should keep her in your life or not? Harley, you're being pretty quiet today. What's bothering you? I saw you kiss my son, and whatever is going on with you and him, Terry, it ends today. Admit it, Keith. You're my stalker. Admit it. I haven't been stalking you, Vanessa. Don't do that. Don't you dare deny it, because there's no way that you could have known that I've been stalked. I haven't been stalking you, Vanessa. This whole time, I've been trying to show you how much I love you. What happened, Zeke? I told Nichelle that I've been watching X-rated videos, except she wouldn't have known if you ain't tell her that I was keeping something from her. It was the only way to ensure her that you weren't cheating on her with Yvette. But how did Nichelle handle it? How do you think, Quinn? She feels like I betrayed her. You told me that you feel like you might have lost her for good. Did Nichelle break up with you? She didn't. Consider that to be a good sign, Zeke. Just give her some space and time to process everything. In the meantime, you can get the help you need. My relationship with Quinlan isn't and has never been any of your concern, Mom. Seems like plenty of people are accusing me of being a busybody today. Probably because it's true. You know by now that when it comes to my family, that I'm not trying to be annoying by trying to look out for them. Are you sure that the word you're looking for isn't control? Just like you've tried to control me all of my life? I'm sorry that you see my methods as controlling. Everything I've done was to ensure that I wouldn't have to bury my child. I don't know what you mean. Come on, Harley. For as long as we've been together, I've grown to know you pretty well. Is that so? Prove it. Well, you never pass up on fried chicken. You're an excellent lawyer and you're very passionate. You're also pretty talkative, and when you get silent, that only means something is making you nervous, and I'd like to know what it is. I can't believe this. It's true. Shut up. You're supposed to be JJ's friend. He trusted you. My family trusted you, Keith. We allowed you into our home, and you decided to torture me for months. Torture? Vanessa, I love you. I couldn't help but fall in love with you. Love? No, Keith. You haven't shown love at all. Far from it. What you did was cruel, demonic. The letters, the texts, that wasn't love. It was creepy. You even went as far as to threaten Max with a knife. And showing up to my house with that creepy mask? That's how you show love? By scaring me to death? I never wanted to hurt you. Tell that to your lawyer, because I'm calling the police. Go right ahead. I'm the police commissioner's son, remember? If they ask me, I'll just deny it, especially since you have no proof. I can't wrap my mind around how you and Nichelle see me as some sort of addict. Answer me this, Zeke. Do you want to watch X-rated videos? It ain't as simple as you think. I disagree, because I don't think you want to watch them, but you can't help yourself from doing it. Haven't you considered that watching X-rated videos is what encouraged you to cheat on Nichelle with Yvette in the first place? Since when did you become a psychiatrist? I'm speaking as your sister because I'm trying to look out for you. Because I care about you. I'm warning you that those videos won't encourage you to love Nichelle the way you want to love her. Give yourself a round of applause, Mom. Max and I are alive and well. Thankfully, you're both still living. But if Quinlan remains in your life, Ben, I'm afraid that it will affect your sobriety. You don't need me to remind you about your relapse after you found out about her and your father. That's right. I don't need a reminder. Besides, are you really concerned about my sobriety, or do you just want Quinlan out of my life because she's the person you hate most in the world? Alright, you caught me. Something has caused me to be troubled. What's troubling you, Harley? More like who? It's your ex-wife. What has Terry done? Remember how I told you that I've noticed Alan always defending her lately? Yeah. Well, I decided to confront her about it. I really wish you didn't. How did the conversation go? How did I not see this before? How have I never noticed that you're a manipulative sociopath? You have no right to call me that, Vanessa. No right? Have you not been listening to me explain how you've been torturing me? Everything I've ever done was to show you that I care. Why can't you see that? Because everything you've done is not normal, Keeve. Why can't you see that your actions have only terrified me? Everything you've done is the exact opposite of love. You don't purposely hurt someone you claim to love. Don't you understand how much you've hurt me? How you're still hurting me? Don't you realize how much it hurt to hear you tell Ulissa that I'm some sort of stalker? That was a private conversation. How do you even know? Wait, the teddy bear. What did you put in that teddy bear, Keeve? You agreed to take it, Vanessa. All I wanted to do was watch over you, to take care of you, to protect you. Oh my goodness. This whole time, you've been watching me in my room. This entire time, my private conversations, my personal space. You saw everything. Me getting dressed and undressed. You saw everything. For all these months, I think I'm gonna be sick. I'm not the monster you think I am. If you just let me explain. Help! Someone help! Help me! Get away from her! You really think Nichelle will be with someone who's an addict? If Nichelle loves you like she says, and I believe she does, then she'll stick beside you every step of the way. I ain't trying to put Nichelle through all that. You wouldn't be putting her through anything, Zeke. I know a thing or two about addicts. Remember, Gwen? What I know is that once someone gets addicted, then they're addicted for life. I'll never forgive Quinlan for almost destroying my marriage. Does that mean you'll also never forgive yourself for almost destroying your own marriage? That's right. But your father and I are working things out, Ben. But I can't find true peace if I know that you're still in love with Quinlan and still willing to keep her in your life. Whatever happens in my relationship with Quinlan is up to me, not you, Mom. All right. Then I'll trust you to make the right decision. I love you. Terry suggested that Alan must feel the need to defend her because he feels bad for his uncle Gianni. I don't follow. When you and Heidi reignited your affair, it not only hurt Terry, but it also hurt Gianni. It makes perfect sense since the affair ended up hurting plenty of people. That's all in the past now. All I want to do is focus on a future with you, Harley. Hello? What did you just say? Alright, I'll be right over there. What's wrong, Finnegan? It's Keith. I'm being told he's being arrested. It's okay, Vanessa, you're safe. As if that's gonna make a difference, Max. It's not gonna change all that Keith has put me through. That sicko watched me in my room. His dirty eyes watched my most intimate moments. I feel so violated. I really wish I could say something that would make you feel better. But if you told the police about the camera in your room, that's all the evidence we need to use against him. I wish the teddy bear wasn't in my room to begin with. Why did I accept it? You didn't know. But the moment you realized that Keith was my stalker, I didn't believe you. I'm sorry, Max. I'm so sorry. How could I be so stupid? You're not stupid and you have nothing to apologize for. Remember what I told you before? I'm gonna help you through this. It's gonna be alright. Did you end the friendship with Wanda because you doubted that you could trust her? Or did she continue to keep her distance? Is it me, or does it feel like Owen and Wanda might have had an intimate moment? If that's the case, it sounds like we're one step closer to getting justice for Max. You saw everything. Me getting dressed and undressed. You saw everything. For all these months. I think I'm gonna be sick. Get away from her! Remember what I told you before? I'm gonna help you through this. It's gonna be alright. Pokisao bakadomi Vanessa. Umalad, mpakadomi papa, baskakiv. I can't forget how that monster watched me sleep in my room for months. Then we'll have you sleep on the couch. But you need to rest. Besides, Keith can't hurt you anymore. We're pressing charges against him and he'll be punished for everything he's done. Sleeping in a different room and seeing Keith punished isn't gonna change the fact that this boy not only stalked me, but violated me in the worst way imaginable. I didn't tell you to leave your room. Dad, you haven't really spoken to me since you bailed me out. Take a wild guess as to why. Imagine how I feel as police commissioner, having my son getting arrested for stalking a girl he has a crush on. But you're not in any trouble. That's what you told me. You can make sure that I don't go to prison, right? Once I answer this door, I want you out of my sight, Keith. Alan, why do you look so concerned? You're usually so calm and collected. How can I help you, Udell? By ensuring me that you'll leave Wanda alone, since my wife no longer wants to be friends with you. Baby, if we could take away the pain that Keith caused you, then we would. And that's why you need to pray, Vanessa. God will be able to heal all the hurt you feel right now. And your father is right. That boy will be punished for what he did to you. Exactly. Once Keith is put away, he won't be able to hurt you or anyone else ever again. But he did hurt me. We let him into our lives and he manipulated us. Keith manipulated us all. And I regret ever letting him in here in the first place, Vanessa. I need you to know that if I had any idea, the bottom line is that we had no idea. Yes, I wish that Keith never entered our lives, but he's to blame, him alone, and he's gonna face the consequences of his actions. Do you think Commissioner Burke will let his own son go to prison? You have some nerve showing up here when you wouldn't even post Keith's bail. Is that true, Mom? When Dad asked for money to bail me out, you wouldn't do it? You need to learn that there are consequences to your actions. But since you're not sitting in jail, being punished for what you did, you can thank your father for letting you sleep in the comfort of your own bed. You're acting like I'm okay with Keith's behavior. I'm not. But that doesn't erase the fact that he's our son, Terry. And our son happens to be a creep who preys on innocent girls. Bailing him out only encourages him to stay this way as he gets older. How could you say something like that about me? You're the one who gave birth to me. That's right. After hearing what you've done to Vanessa Dorval, you've made me ashamed to be your mother. Keith, I want you to go back into your room, and I mean it when I tell you to stay there. Do you hear yourself, Terry? That's exactly why I wasn't gonna let you take full custody of our child. If you must know, Maximilian, I feel stressed because of you and what you went through with Keith Burke. You're certainly full of surprises today, Alan. For as long as I can remember, the two of us don't really get concerned about one another. We're family. I know it might be a shocker, but I still care. Growing up with you and Ben, you two are the closest things I had to having brothers. Growing sentimental? Now I'm even more concerned. Knowing that some weirdo tried going after my cousin gives me chills. It just makes me wonder what could have happened if Keeve never got caught. If Wanda wants me to stay away, then that's exactly what I'll do. Your word means nothing to me, Owen. But as Wanda's husband, I'm gonna make sure that you do keep your word. Are you threatening me, Udell? You know I'm not. I'm just making it clear that I'm a man who is serious about protecting his family. So you take your role as Wanda's husband seriously, huh? Funny you say that since she wasn't even your first choice as your wife. It doesn't matter if Keeve is Commissioner Burke's son. Commissioner Burke has no choice but to let Keeve face the consequences of his actions. Besides, D.A. Russo wouldn't allow Keeve to just walk off, not when Keeve also came after her son. How am I ever gonna forgive myself for being hostile with Max at first and allowing Keeve into my life? I was so terrible to Max when we first moved here, when Max wouldn't have even imagined hurting me. We all know the truth now. What happens now is what's important, but try to rest Vanessa. I'll let Vanessa sleep here while I check on JJ. That's a good idea. After finding out that his best friend has been causing us this much grief, has really hurt him. JJ, how are you holding up, son? Thinking about how stupid I am for letting Keeve stalk Vanessa. How dare you paint me as a bad guy, Finnegan? If I had full custody, then our son wouldn't be facing prison time right now. Is that so? Well, if that's the case, then why didn't you realize what Keeve was up to when we had joint custody of him all summer? The fact is that we both know. And since you're a police commissioner, you need to let Keeve know that his actions are unacceptable. I think being handcuffed and hauled into the police station made him realize that. But our son shouldn't have to go to prison because he didn't know how to handle having a crush. Maybe he gets his delusions from your side of the family. What Keeve has is not a simple crush. It's an unhealthy obsession and you know it. Wow, both of you are exactly where I want you. I just thank God that Keeve got caught before he could have the chance to cause any more damage. I bet your mom is eager to throw the book at him for everything he's done. Since he made Vanessa's life miserable, I hope my mom is able to convince the judge to give him the maximum sentence. You and I both. But I can't help but feel bad for Keeve's mom. Feel bad for what? If his parents had done their jobs and paid close attention to him, they would have realized that their son was a psychopath. What are you saying? Keeve is responsible for his own actions. At the end of the day, I chose Wanda, and she chose me. Because of that, we have stayed married to this day. Have you forgotten that your marriage almost ended because you couldn't find a way to forgive her for keeping the fact that Elvira cheated on you with Devontae Torres? What matters is that I found a way to forgive her. Don't you realize how sad you sound, Owen? You have nothing else to come at me with. I've got plenty to say, Udell. Even though Wanda wants me out of her life, I still have enough respect for her not to go any further. What are you trying to tell me? That Wanda is keeping more secrets? You're not responsible for Keeve's crimes, but I brought him into our lives because you're someone who cares about others, which is a trait that brings me and your mother joy. Sadly, Keeve took advantage of your kindness, JJ. But what if Keeve wasn't caught? He could have done something really bad to Vanessa and Max. By God's grace, your sister and Max were unharmed. Don't put your mind in that dark place, son. What are you doing in my house, Isidore? Your son came after my nephew. That's unacceptable. Keeve's actions were pranks which went terribly wrong. We're handling it. Do you honestly think I'm gonna buy the crap you're selling, Commissioner? It might have worked with my sister-in-law when you got her into bed, but it certainly won't work with me. Your son is an obsessive psychopath who needs to be punished for going after a member of my family. And the law will handle it, not you, Isidore. Terry, we all know that you have no right to speak about justice and how the law should handle a criminal. Besides, Heidi is the law. Since your son came after her son, she'll come at Keith with full force. Buckle your seatbelts, you two. I get that Keith is responsible for his own actions, Alan, but his parents bought him the equipment he needed to torture Vanessa. They should have monitored him, as if his parents knew they had a maniac for a son. And now they know how insane Keith is. Because he's a lunatic, his parents are forced to watch their only child get sent to prison where he belongs. You're always bragging about your marriage to Wanda. Shouldn't you trust her to be open and honest with you? I am so relieved that Wanda finally dropped you as a friend, Owen. You're nothing more than a manipulative parasite. As to stoop so low by calling me names. Don't you think marrying Wanda because she was second best could also be defined as manipulative? Enjoy the rest of your life, Owen. As for me, I'll be enjoying the rest of my life with the woman I love. How could you say something like that about me? You're the one who gave birth to me. That's right. After hearing what you've done to Vanessa Dorval, you've made me ashamed to be your mother. But what if Keith wasn't caught? He could have done something really bad to Vanessa and Max. And now they know how insane Keith is. Because he's a lunatic, his parents are forced to watch their only child get sent to prison where he belongs. How come it seems like you and Zeke are avoiding one another? Is it that obvious? What has he done, Nichelle? I really don't want to talk about it, Mom. Okay, but just remember that you can tell me when you're ready. How are you holding up after finding out about Keith? I still can't believe I became his friend in the first place. Please don't blame yourself, JJ. No matter how many times my parents have told me that, I can't help but blame myself. You tried to warn us, Ulissa. From the very beginning, you warned us about Keith. I should have listened. Alan, whatever it is, I'm not in the mood. Have you not been reading my texts? As you know, I'm pretty occupied at the moment. With Keith, that's exactly who I need to talk with you about. Finnegan, I'm so glad you finally reached out. I've been so worried about you, especially when you haven't been able to respond to my calls. I'm really sorry, Harley. Don't apologize. How are you holding up? Is there anything that I could help you with? That's why I called you over. I need you to defend Keith. Zeke, why are you standing in front of me right now? Cause I want to thank you for letting me keep this job after everything. I don't let my personal life get in the way of business. Hope you can say the same. Nichelle, when you hired me, we were supposed to enjoy working together, not avoid each other very second we run into one another. We were also supposed to enjoy our summer together, but we both know why that didn't happen. I told you that I was sorry. Then show it, Zeke. If you're so sorry, then you wouldn't be so opposed to getting help. Yvette must have known something, since she spent most of the summer with Keith. Yvette has a lot of problems, but I doubt she would be okay with everything Keith has done. Guess we'll have to see. JJ, don't. JJ, I didn't expect you to walk up to me. Don't worry, Yvette. This isn't a friendly visit. I'm sure you heard about what Keith did to my sister. I have. I'm really sorry for what Vanessa's been going through. Are you sorry? Why? Is it because you knew something all along? What happened with my son is none of your concern. I hate to bring this up, Dr. Murphy, but your son terrorized my cousin. It does concern me. It concerns us. Except there is no us. We've been sleeping together for months. The two of us have something, and we need to figure out how to move forward. It's clear that Heidi is not going to let him get away with what he's done. Here's how we're going to move forward, Alan. What's going on between us needs to come to an end. Okay, well, your son is definitely still entitled to having legal counsel. What's the plan, Finnegan? To prevent him from getting the maximum sentence? My plan is to keep Keith from spending any time in prison. As a parent, I understand that you want to protect your son from that, but I've heard about what Keith has done, from stalking the Dorval's daughter to threatening Max with a knife. On top of that, Keith had a camera in Vanessa's room without her consent or knowledge. That is very serious, Finnegan. It wouldn't be an easy case to take on. I understand that what Keith did was idiotic and even downright weird, but he has never been known as normal. But I don't think he should serve time for it and have his entire life ruined. Not when he didn't even harm Max or Vanessa. Harley, I really need you. Now more than ever. What do we have here? Why should I get help, Nichelle? You know my past. I know an addict when I see one. I ain't like him. Did you stop watching X-rated videos since the last time we spoke? We both know I've been watching it since I was a kid. It ain't an easy habit to break. That don't make it an addiction. Most of all, I ain't never watched it to hurt you. But you know that watching it does hurt me. I'm gonna stop eventually. Only if you get help. How do you expect us to stay together if you're doing the one single thing keeping us apart? JJ, I had no idea what Keith was doing this entire time. Stop lying, JJ. In a situation like this, if Yvette says she doesn't know, then she doesn't know. What sort of sick scheme did you and Keith go along with? Did you pretend to be his girlfriend so that he could torture my sister? That way Keith could look innocent? If I had any idea that Keith was stalking Vanessa, then I would have went to you straight away and I would have kept my distance from him. You have no idea how much I regret even letting him get so close to me. You're right. Why would you stay quiet? I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted my sister to be as miserable as you were. Come on, Dr. Murphy. Not this again. My child became a lunatic right under my nose, Alan. If only Keith had my attention instead of you, then I could have kept him from going as far as he did. I'm sorry for the hurt you're going through, but what Keith did is not your fault. I know that Keith's responsible for his own actions, Alan, but I'm his mother. It was my responsibility to make sure that he wouldn't go down the wrong path. Clearly, I failed. You're not a failure, Dr. Murphy. You did the best you could with him. Not now, Heidi. As you can see, I'm in the middle of something. That's clear. It looks like you and Harley are figuring out a plan to ensure that your son gets off scot-free. Explain yourself, Harley. How can you defend the very monster who terrorized your son's cousin? Everyone is entitled to be represented in court. As if that obvious fact counts as a good explanation. Let me make something clear. If you two think that Keith will get away with what he's done, especially to my child, then you're both bigger idiots than I thought. Can you just give me time, Nichelle? Give me time to try and figure out how I can break my habit. I'll give you as much time as you need, but you need to admit that you've got a serious problem. Admit to being an addict. People can change habits. Addicts don't ever change. If you stay with an addict, your life won't be happy, but I can give you a happy life. Zeke, I'm sure that you're facing a tough battle, but I would feel secure in our relationship if you put your pride aside and accept that you need help. That's enough, JJ. Let's go now. Yulissa, I really want you to know that I do hope that Keith pays for what he put Vanessa through. Believe me when I say that I wish there was more I could do to help. What made you snap like that? I'm sorry, Alyssa. This whole situation, I'm just so angry. Keith was welcomed with open arms, and he took my kindness for weakness. I allowed my introverted son to roam around this summer and thought nothing of it. I spent time with you when my son, who barely has any friends, was committing such horrendous crimes. You didn't know, Dr. Murphy. I get that I'm not a parent, but I think it's normal for parents to think the best of their kids. After finding out about Key's horrific actions, I'm robbed of what most parents get to believe about their children. I understand that my son hurt yours, but you can't forget that Keith is still just a child. A child who knows right from wrong and shouldn't be free of facing the consequences of his actions. What about Terry? How does she feel about how her son committed a crime against a female? Heidi, I'm not condoning anything that Keith has done, but my son needs help, not prison time. Are you not listening to me, Finnegan? It's not like Keith wasn't aware of his surroundings or his environment. He knew exactly what he was doing because your son is a sociopath. That's enough, Heidi. Last time I checked, you studied law, not psychology. Save these arguments for court. Fine then. Prepare to fight a war you cannot win. Did you mean what you just said, Harley? Will you defend Keith? As long as Keith pleads guilty. If we can do that, the best I could do is try to get him to serve community service. Are you okay with that, Finnegan? Definitely. Thank you so much, Harley. I don't know what I'd do without you. Are you not listening to me, Finnegan? It's not like Keith wasn't aware of his surroundings or his environment. He knew exactly what he was doing because your son is a sociopath. But I can't find true peace if I know that you're still in love with Quinlan and still willing to keep her in your life. Whatever happens in my relationship with Quinlan is up to me, not you, Mom. Even though Wanda wants me out of her life, I still have enough respect for her not to go any further. What are you trying to tell me? That Wanda is keeping more secrets? I realized that I should make it up to Max. Make it up to Max how? By admitting to the police that I lied. Hey, Quinlan, have you made a decision about whether to accept my offer or not? What can I do for you, Vivian? I was gonna ask what I could do for you, Mr. Russo. I wanted to know how you and your family were doing after dealing with the scandal and the issue Max has been faced with. How are you holding up, Vanessa? Still sleeping on the couch since I haven't been able to regain the strength to sleep in my own room. But you're safe now. I thought I was safe for months. Just the thought that I slept in my own room and that Keith possibly watched me sleep for countless days still bothers me. Enough about me, Max. How are you? At the moment, I'm trying to build the strength to share bad news. I thought you deserved to know. Deserve to know what? Commissioner Burke is getting Alan's mom to defend Keith to keep him from spending time in prison. Why would you call me? Did I not make things clear to you? I heard you loud and clear, Wanda, but I called to see whether you blocked my number or not. Before I agree to anything, Pacho, how do you envision me sharing my story? Since it's your story, I felt like it was best to give you full creative control. Alright, if doing this will lead me to having my own program, then I don't want another reporter interviewing me. In fact, I think I'll agree to your initial terms. I'll host a dialogue with other people who have had affairs with married people. That can be arranged. When I agree to do this, how long will I have to wait to get my own news program? I must admit, this past month it has felt a bit difficult to breathe. But I am glad that things haven't gotten worse with the scandal. As for the commissioner's son, I'm relieved that he's facing charges, even if Commissioner Burke is trying to get that sicko off. But why would the police commissioner try to get his son to evade prison time? There's no way D.A. Russo would even allow it to happen. Unfortunately, the commissioner has my former daughter-in-law wrapped around his dirty little finger. I've seen Miss Drake in action before as Devontae's lawyer. Do you think she might have a chance of winning the case for Keith Burke? Commissioner Burke is trying to keep Keith from going into prison? He can't do that. Not when there's no denying what Keith did. I know, Vanessa, but I can't say that I'm surprised that Commissioner Burke would try to get Keith off, especially when that man almost tore my family apart. Even if the commissioner hired Alan's mom as a lawyer, your mom will make sure that Keith doesn't get away with everything, right? Thank you for reminding me to block your number, Owen. I'll get right to it. I don't buy it, Wanda. You wouldn't have needed a reminder to block my number. And I won't need another reminder since this is the last time we'll speak on the phone. In fact, this is our last conversation. Before you go, did Udell tell you that he paid me a visit the other day? I think we both know that the program won't start right away. Of course, I'll get the ball running right away. But like we agreed, we have to see how the public will receive your story first. Did you draw up a contract for me? I had it on the table right before you came in. It's insane to think about how a piece of paper can completely change someone else's life. If you're having second thoughts, Quinlan, then you don't have to sign anything. Let me ask you this. How does the network plan to respond if I don't receive a positive response from sharing my story? I doubt that juvenile delinquent has any chance of going free. Not after all of the evidence that's stacked against him. That's the issue, Mr. Russo. Keith is still a juvenile. A judge might go easy on him because of that. Mark my words, Vivian. If that boy goes free, then he will continue to wreak more havoc. I fear that it will be worse than anyone can imagine. Commissioner Burke's son is a sick human being. He has to be after threatening my grandson with a knife and sending Maximilian those gruesome photos of Elvira's bloody body. I never wanted Maximilian or Alan to ever have to have that image in their heads, especially since it's the same image which messed up Benedict. I'm positive that my mom will do everything in her power to throw Keith behind bars. It's just insane that Commissioner Burke would try and allow Keith to be a part of society since it's clear that Keith is a danger to other people. I've never been so scared of anyone in my entire life. Keith isn't above the law because of who his father is, Vanessa. There's enough proof showing that Keith has got serious issues. The law takes Keith's actions very seriously. Are you sure about that? My mom is DA, and on top of that, she's a Russo. A judge who values their career in this town would never dare let someone like Keith go free. At the moment, Keith is free. What if he doesn't care about the law, Max? What if he still plans to come after us both? Udell never mentioned it, told me the usual, to stay away from you. And that's exactly what I'll do, Wanda. But I don't think you actually want me to keep my distance. Not after what we shared. We shared nothing, Owen. That kiss meant nothing. Except we both know it wasn't just one kiss. One kiss should have been enough. What happened between us doesn't compare to the love I have for my husband. Goodbye, Owen. For good this time. I'm sure that the public won't come at you with pitchforks and torches. There's still a good chance that they might. Or maybe they'll listen to a likable person who regrets her actions. Again, you don't have to share your story. This is my attempt at regaining your trust, Quinlan. Alright, I'll sign the contract. Ben was pretty much a baby when he found Elvira. Max and Alan weren't in the room when Elvira was found, and they're much older than Ben was. So seeing Elvira's photos might not traumatize them like you think. I was much older when I found Ben watching over Elvira's body, just begging for her to wake up. That's one image that will haunt me for as long as I live. I know that Clarice, Gianni, Heidi, and Isidore will say the same. Do you and Clarice talk about that night often? We talk about Elvira's life often. As for her death, we avoid talking about the night we lost our only daughter. When Keith had the chance to slice me open with his knife, he didn't take it. He's nothing but a coward, Vanessa. You didn't see how delusional he was. When he confessed to being my stalker, he told me that all of the crazy things he did was out of love. I can't even begin to imagine what other plans might be going through that sick brain of his. Don't let fear take control, Vanessa. If there's one thing being a born-again Christian has taught me, it's that God is bigger than the attacks that come against us. God's gonna get us through this. But I also have to admit that I brought this upon myself. What are you talking about? I let Keith into my life after Yulissa warned me against him. As for you, Max, I just pushed you away. Looking back, I can't say that I blame you. I realize how annoying I was. I shouldn't have approached you the way I did when I met you last year. Whatever you said that hurt my feelings isn't something that I'll ever hold against you. In fact, I promise to stand beside you. D.A. Russo, what's this about? I have some unfortunate news about Vanessa's case against Keith. What unfortunate news? Jeremiah, I promise to get back to you as soon as I can. Something just came up and I promise to handle it quickly so that I can update you. What are you doing here, Miss Mitchell? I came here to admit to what I did. Max never forced himself on me, D.A. Russo. I admit that I lied about it. I came here to admit to what I did. Max never forced himself on me, D.A. Russo. I admit that I lied about it. Again, you don't have to share your story. This is my attempt at regaining your trust, Quinlan. Alright, I'll sign the contract. But I would feel secure in our relationship if you put your pride aside and accept that you need help. In fact, I promise to stand beside you. I assume you're here to update me on Pacho's offer, and I assume that I'm not gonna like it. You're right, Ben. I decided to accept the offer that Pacho made me. I see that you're upset again. Is Zeke the reason for the way you're feeling, Nichelle? Maybe. Did you talk with him? Is he cheating on you again? No, Yulissa. Zeke hasn't been cheating on me, but he has done something to hurt me. So my son didn't harm you after all. Shocker. What made you want to admit that you lied? Because I know how much it hurt Max and I want to clear his name. Alright? Then lay it all out, Miss Mitchell. Obviously, I've heard Max's side of the story, but what about you, Yvette? What really happened that night? Vanessa, I'm so sorry. I didn't think it's alright, Max. Is it? Because if you want me to go, then I'll leave right now. I hate to say that I'm not surprised, Quinlan. What's that supposed to mean? Exactly how it sounds. I knew you'd place your career above all. That is not true, Ben. You sure? Don't you understand that you're willing to drag out this scandal about you and my dad all so that you could get your own news program? I'm trying to clear my name. Clear your name? There's nothing to clear, Quinlan. You slept with my father despite the fact that you knew he was much older and was a married man with 2 sons. What has Zeke done this time? It's a personal problem, Ulissa. A really personal problem that he trusted me with, and I don't want to break that trust. Yet it sounds like he continues to break your trust, which brings you pain, and you continue to stay with him. Because, despite how many times he makes stupid choices, I can't help but still be in love with him and hope that he does the right thing. And how long do you think you can take it, Nichelle? How many stupid choices does Zeke have to make until you say enough is enough? That night, he came by my house to speak with my parents, but my parents were at Theodosius' palace to honor the nursing scholarship in Elvira's name. Yeah, then how come Max stayed? Why didn't he just leave? I offered him French toast. We started talking, then began kissing, and I had protection on me, so that's enough. Just knowing that my son lost his virginity to you, that's all I need to know. How did that night turn into you accusing my son of forcing himself on you? My parents found the contraceptive, and I was worried that I'd get in trouble. That's when I lied and said that Max forced me to hook up with him. And you didn't realize how serious that lie would be? You don't have to leave Max. Not if you're feeling guilty or ashamed. More like embarrassed. This issue with Kiev is making us emotional. It's hard to think straight when we're emotional. Does that mean we can still be friends? Of course. But just that. I'll try to forget what even happened. But I do have something to ask you. What is it, Vanessa? The feelings you had for me when you first met me, did they ever go away? Obviously, I can't deny what happened between Gianni and I, but I can't ignore it either. Of course you can, Quinlan. You're just choosing not to. That's easy for you to say. You're not in the public eye like I am. Then why not just write up a public apology? Why have an entire conversation about what went on between you and my father? Because a written apology is impersonal, Ben. I don't want people to think of me as some sort of fraud. You don't think people will make that assumption when you talk about the affair on TV? Are you sure that people won't assume that you're only trying to progress in your career over this? That is not my agenda, and the public will see that. I don't know what I'll do, Ulissa. Then do what's reasonable. If Zeke continues to cause you pain, then drop him. But he's struggling. If I just walk out on him like that, then I can't help but feel like I'm abandoning him. Last time I checked, you two didn't make vows in front of a group of witnesses. You're not obliged to stay by Zeke's side. If his struggles only end up breaking your heart, if he knows that he's supposed to get himself together and doesn't, then you need to walk away. I wasn't thinking, D.A. Russo. I was afraid. Oh, I know you weren't thinking. But because you acted out in fear, my son could have ended up in prison and you almost tarnished his reputation. I'm really sorry, D.A. Russo. I didn't want to cause Max that much pain. Saying sorry isn't gonna take away the pain that Max went through. It's not gonna erase the fact that he felt so much pain that he wanted it all to stop by attempting to end his life altogether. Keep your apologies, Yvette, because you'll end up being sorry anyway. Does that mean you're gonna put me in jail now? I'm glad you understand that jail is a reasonable consequence for your deception. Unfortunately for me, there's a process when it comes to confessions like yours. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Dorval. Hi, Max. It's good to see you today. Good to see you too as well. Can we talk about this another time? That's fine. What was he doing here, Vanessa? Max came to share some news about Kiev. He told me that Kiev's dad got him a lawyer to keep him from spending time in prison. Kiev's father is gonna do what? I guess that's what D.A. Russo was trying to tell me over the phone. This is ridiculous. Finnegan is supposed to be the police commissioner. I bet he wouldn't even be okay with this if this was someone else's child. Even though Commissioner Burke is trying to get Kiev off. You don't think he'll succeed in it, right? You know what, Quinlan? Do whatever you want. Doing what you want is exactly what puts you in this predicament in the first place. I'm gonna ask you this again. Now that I've made this decision, what does it mean for us? You tell me. Here's what I'll tell you, Ben. I didn't accept Pacho's offer to hurt you. I hope you understand that I'm not trying to capitalize off of this scandal. My goal is to find closure. That's easy for you to say, Alyssa. You've never been in love before. Then let's bring up another example. Our father took someone's life. We've all accepted that. I still love him, Nichelle, but I will not have a relationship with him as long as he continues to deny that he ended Elvira's life. Zeke is nothing like Dad. Zeke should be in prison for giving Max substances, which could have sent him to an early grave. Is that what Zeke is doing that's hurting you? Is he dealing again? That's not the issue. Well, whatever he's doing, you don't have to keep hurting yourself by staying with him through his reckless behavior. Now, I'll pray that he gets his life together, Nichelle, but I also hope you make the right choice. It's so good to see you, baby. What was that for? Because I'm grateful that you love me, even though I don't deserve you. I don't deserve you either, Wanda. And I'm glad you love me too. Hello? Hello, Udell. Heidi, what do you want? It's nothing that I want. Do you know where your daughter is? Yvette is upstairs in her room. Why? Your daughter is not in her room. She's not even home. She's at the police station being interrogated by the police after admitting that she lied about my son. Yvette might need some representation. Goodbye. Heidi? Heidi! Udell, what's wrong? How did you not know that Yvette snuck out Wanda? What do you mean? Where is she? Our daughter is at the police station confessing that she lied about Max Russo. Keith is gonna pay for everything that he's done, no matter what Commissioner Burke tries to do. Even though it troubles me that Commissioner Burke is trying to keep his son from paying for his actions, he won't succeed in it, Vanessa. Kisau Teddy? What do you mean the commissioner is trying to keep Keith from paying for his actions? Just that, Poppy. Commissioner Burke hired Harley Drake to defend Keith. He doesn't want his son to go to prison. Maison me. I understand that man wants to protect his son, but keeping him from prison will only cause more trouble. And if Commissioner Burke gets what he wants, it will only destroy him. He told me that Keith's dad got him a lawyer to keep him from spending time in prison. Keith's father is gonna do what? Your daughter is not in her room. She's not even home. She's at the police station being interrogated by the police after admitting that she lied about my son. Yvette might need some representation. Goodbye. Our daughter is at the police station confessing that she lied about Max Russo. Jeremiah, what can I do for you? You can make sure that your son pays for everything he did to my daughter. What's going on here, Mom? Why is my suitcase outside of my room? It's not my week to stay with Dad. Oh, yes, it is. In fact, Keith, since your father refuses to see you pay for your crimes, you'll be staying with him for good. Hey, Max. What's going on? The other day, before your parents stepped into your house, you asked me a question. You don't have to answer. I think I do, Vanessa. The feelings I had for you before we became friends, Sorry to cut your call short, Max, but your mother and I need to have a very important talk with you. I'll call you later. What happened? Yvette Mitchell finally admitted to lying about you. Alright, Yvette. Your mother and I gave you enough time alone after bailing you out. What were you thinking? Why on earth would you confess to lying to the police? I'm taking what Keith did to Vanessa very seriously, Jeremiah. Who do you think you're fooling? How are you taking this seriously when you're fighting to keep Keith from going to prison? As a father, You should understand that I'll do whatever it takes to protect my child. You failed to protect your child, Finnegan. The moment Keith started stalking my daughter is the moment you failed to protect him. You know how terrified Vanessa has been these past few months. I know that my son has caused your daughter pain, but once again, you know what it's like to try and protect your child when they do wrong. Don't tell me that you forgot when JJ shot Devontae Torres. Do you really want me to go to prison that badly? What I wanted was a son who followed the law and didn't hurt other people. Instead, I got you. I bet I've made you really happy. Are you deaf or dumb, Keith? What makes what I said cause you to believe that you've made me happy? How do you not realize that I'm disgusted by your actions? First of all, I'm not dumb. Not as dumb as you think, because now I gave you the perfect opportunity to finally get rid of me. Yvette actually confessed? What made her do something like that? It's best not to ask questions. Your father's right, Max. Just be grateful that your reputation is no longer tarnished. People don't have to accuse you of being some sort of monster. This is a lot. I never thought that Yvette would ever confess to lying. Let it sink in and take a deep breath. I can understand that this is a bit overwhelming, son, especially after everything Yvette put you through. But this is a time of celebration. So what happens now? Is Yvette gonna face charges? I confess because Max didn't do anything to me. We've already established that. Just like we established that you would only drop the charges against him, Yvette. Don't you understand how serious this is? Don't you understand that the Russos want to put you in prison? Prison is where I belong. You wouldn't be saying that if you land in there. Scratch that, you're not going to prison. Now, D.A. Russo won't be willing to make a deal, but we can sway the judge to ensure that you find some other sort of punishment other than prison. There's no doubt that I should be punished. It's about time someone in this family takes responsibility for their actions. You've got some nerve, Finnegan. Don't tell me that you forgot my son shot Devontae in self-defense. On top of that, JJ wasn't in his right mind. And you believe Keith was? My son is mentally ill. As for your son, he knew exactly what he was doing. Putting a camera into a teddy bear so that he could watch my daughter whenever he felt like it, sending her threatening texts, following Max Russo and threatening him with a knife. Keith has never laid a finger on Vanessa or Max. He still terrorized those two. My daughter is suffering from nightmares and can't bring herself to sleep in her own room. I promise you, Finnegan, I will not allow Keith to get away with the damage he caused to my child. What are you talking about, Keith? I never once tried to get rid of you. Again, you think I'm some sort of idiot. All my life you spent most of your time at work just so that you could get away from me and Dad. Did you not realize that I tried to get full custody of you as I was divorcing your father? Please. You only did that so you could hurt Dad because he hurt you. Being a mother is the last thing you wanted. Once you found out Dad cheated, you knew having me was a mistake. You sound ridiculous. If I didn't want children, if I didn't want you, then I wouldn't have kept you when I found out I was pregnant. Because if Dad found out you terminated the pregnancy, he would have dumped you. Now you realize it was a waste of time because Dad ran off and got involved with other women who he found more interesting than you. Yvette lied about you committing a serious crime against her, Max. She wasted police resources. Anyone who does what she did would be in serious trouble. How exactly would she be punished? She could end up in prison for a year, and you could have ended up in prison much longer if Yvette got her way. But Yvette dropped the charges. Is it even worth it for her to lose a year of her life over a lie? What's that supposed to mean, Yvette? I committed a crime, Mom. I don't deserve to be protected. We love you, Yvette. Your mother and I will never stop loving you. Because of the love we have for you, we will always do whatever it takes to protect you. I'm not a little girl anymore. That's where you're wrong. You are still a child. Most of all, you are our child. As our child, you shouldn't have to pay for one bad choice for the rest of your life. I guess it's time for me to grow up then. It's not like I'm gonna allow Keith to run rampage. I plan to get him help. You know you wouldn't be saying that if Keith wasn't your son. Well, he is. And as his father, I'll protect him. If you truly want to protect your son, then you'll teach him that there are consequences to his actions. Because if Keith walks free, I promise that you'll regret it. Let me remind you that I'm the police commissioner, Jeremiah, and I've had a lot of respect for you ever since you stepped into this town. So I hope you're not threatening me. No, I'm not threatening you at all. But since you're not acting like police commissioner, you have lost all of my respect. On top of that, you have made yourself an enemy to my family, a God-fearing family. Going against a family like mine is the last thing you'd want to do. Your father would be so proud, Keith. I've had to deal with your father for years, and I refuse to deal with a carbon copy for the rest of my life. Do you plan to drop me off at his house? Nope. I suggest you call your father to pick you up since he wanted you so bad. Please don't tell me you feel sorry for her, Max. Because of her, your whole life could have been ruined. And I understand that Yvette dropped the charges, but the goal was to ensure that this entire town knew that you never harmed her. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad that Yvette admitted that I never hurt her, but I feel like that's all I really want. I don't really feel the need to get back at her. This is not about revenge, Max. In fact, Yvette is as much a criminal as Keith Burke is, and she needs to be treated as such. You're 15, Yvette. That means you still got a lot of growing up to do. And you won't have to grow up too fast by ending up in a prison cell. This time, I need you to listen to everything I tell you. Please. Baby, don't you understand what you're putting yourself through? What you're putting this entire family through? What were you thinking? I can ask you the same thing, Mom. Excuse me? Never mind. Don't back up now. Since you want to make grown decisions, be grown enough to tell me what's on your mind. Just forget about it. I won't. Not when your father and I have to work hard to make sure that we don't lose you for an entire year. There's clearly something you want to get off your chest, and I'm not letting you walk away from me until you tell me what it is. All right, I know what you've been hiding. What are you talking about? Don't do that, Mom. I know that you kissed Owen Grant behind Dad's back. All right, I know what you've been hiding. What are you talking about? Don't do that, Mom. I know that you kissed Owen Grant behind Dad's back. I suggest you call your father to pick you up since he wanted you so bad. No, I'm not threatening you at all. But since you're not acting like police commissioner, you have lost all of my respect. On top of that, you have made yourself an enemy to my family, a God-fearing family. Going against a family like mine is the last thing you'd want to do. At least you're not denying it, Mom. How do you know? I overheard you admitting to kissing Owen while you were on the phone with him. You came here to gloat about Yvette Mitchell. I hate to say this, Owen, but I told you so. I told you that girl was nothing but a big, fat liar. I came as quick as I could. What's going on, Finnegan? It's Keith. Please tell me that he didn't do anything else that would land him in any trouble. It's his mother. Terry kicked Keith out. I thought you'd never come. Hold on, Dr. Murphy. This isn't like you. Not that I have an issue with it, but is everything okay? Everything is wonderful, Alan. Keith is no longer my problem, which means that you and I can spend as much time together as we'd like. That was a private conversation, Yvette. Are you seriously making excuses for yourself right now? It's not an excuse. I'm just trying to explain. Baby, if I had any idea that you were listening, Then you wouldn't have mentioned that you kissed another man? How could you do that to Dad? How could you hurt him again? I'm not the least bit surprised that you're enjoying this right now. Why wouldn't I? Aren't you glad when people admit to their crimes? It makes our jobs so much easier. Yvette is a child. Max is a child too. But that didn't stop you from prosecuting him. In fact, you never once apologized for almost ruining my son's life. Alright, D.A. Russo, I was wrong, and I'm sorry for what I put Max through, but my intention wasn't to be malicious. All I wanted was to see justice served, and justice will be served. Now that Yvette Mitchell admitted to lying, I bet you're relieved that you're no longer friends with Wanda. I understand that Terry is upset with Keith's actions. We all are, but that doesn't excuse her of her responsibilities as a mother. Since she kicked Keith out, it makes me feel like fighting for joint custody was just a waste of time. At least it seems like she won't get in the way of our goal to keep Keith out of prison. Maybe the real reason why she kicked Keith out was to make sure he didn't get in the way of what she does in her spare time. What's that supposed to mean, Harley? Hold on, Dr. Murphy. Why is Keith no longer your problem? I kicked him out. You what? Are you sure that was the right call to make? Why not? He's a creep. He stalked Vanessa Dorval and terrorized your cousin Max. Why would you even question if kicking him out was the right call? Do you not want to spend more time with me, Alan? I'd like to spend every second with you, but I don't want to take advantage of you by hopping into your bed while your emotions are all over the place. I want to make this very clear to you, Yvette. I never cheated on your father. So kissing some other guy doesn't count as cheating? Dad would just be okay with it? I'm trying to explain that it never went any further than a kiss. But why even risk it, Mom? Especially after the issues you and Dad had before the year even started. He kicked you out of the house because you never told him Elvira cheated on him with Devontae Torres. I know, baby, but you still decided to kiss Owen anyway? Dad loves you. I know. Then why would you hurt him like this when you know how Elvira hurt him back in the day? Dad loved you both and you both betrayed him. Yvette, you have no idea how much I want to take it back. I wish I could make things clearer to you, but it's difficult to explain since you're still so young. But you and Dad are the same age. Is he gonna understand when you explain? Because I think we both know that if he finds out, then our family will be torn apart for good. I hate to break it to you, D.A. Russo, but I'm not relieved at all. In fact, I'm heartbroken that my friendship with Wanda is over, especially since she wasn't completely honest with me. Maybe you shouldn't allow yourself to get close to a family you're working with next time, except I'm not as cold-hearted as you are. Why are you still so hard on me when you were the one in the wrong, Owen? I don't appreciate you shoving that in my face. Maybe you'll appreciate the opportunity to prosecute Yvette yourself. Forget what I said, Finnegan. What about you? Do you mind having Keith full-time? Of course not. In fact, I think he needs my guidance more than ever. I'm not gonna fail my son when he needs me the most, even if the Dorvals feel like I failed Keith. Have they reached out to you? Jeremiah stopped by my office earlier today. To make a long story short, that man is gearing up for a fight. You think I'm emotionally unstable, Alan? No, it's my son who is unstable. I'm not denying that, and I'm not calling you unstable. But I know it can't be easy dealing with everything Keith has put you through. It's easier now that Keith will no longer be staying with me. He's Finnegan's problem now. Don't try to hide your feelings from me, Dr. Murphy. I know having your son stay with his father doesn't hurt any less. Stop trying to be my therapist, Alan. Either we can go in my bedroom right now, or you can leave. Yvette, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for how my actions have hurt you. I truly wish that I could take all of that hurt away, but I can assure you that Owen is out of my life for good. You should have cut him out of your life before, Mom. I told you. I tried to warn you that staying friends with him wouldn't end well. I warned you that being friends with him would only land me in trouble with the law. Wait, not long after I got that call from Owen, you confessed to lying about Max. Yvette, no. Please, please tell me you didn't confess to lying just because you knew about Owen. I wasn't gonna let Owen Grant destroy our family mom. I knew that if I confessed, then he'd want nothing to do with you anymore. I had to save this family. That's not your job, Yvette. It is not your place to try and protect this family. That role belongs to your father and I alone. Because of that fact, I will keep this family together. I'll speak with your father right now and confess to what I've done. Are you sure that there's nothing between you and Owen? I'm positive. Okay, if Owen is no longer a threat, then I don't think you should tell Dad. I don't want you to take that risk. If Owen can stay silent, then you can. If you can stay silent and stay away from Owen, then I won't say anything to Dad, as long as all three of us get to stay together. You can't ask me to prosecute Yvette. Since I'm district attorney, that's exactly what I can do. But there's a conflict of interest. Not anymore. You and Wanda are no longer friends. Remember, this isn't about justice, D.A. Russo. This is about revenge. Think whatever you want, Owen. Just remember, all of this could have been avoided if you had just dropped the charges against my son. I understand that the Dorvals are unhappy since we can't deny what Keeve has done. I get their frustration too, Harley. But if I can keep Keeve out of prison, then I know that family will be a problem for me. What do you think the Dorvals will do if Keeve doesn't end up behind bars? I'm not sure, but I'll do whatever it takes to keep them from going after my son. Don't shut me out, Dr. Murphy. Haven't I already proven to you that you can be open and honest with me about your feelings? As if I feel like admitting how I failed as a mother. You haven't failed Keeve. I gave birth to an obsessed stalker. Keeve sure feels like I failed him as a mother and thinks I placed my career above him. Maybe he's right about that too. At least the two of us can agree on something. Besides, I know it's easy to blame Finnegan for Keeve's faults, but Keeve would most likely blame me more because of my own past. What past? Forget about that. You don't have to admit to anything, Dr. Murphy. Keeve is an idiot if he thinks you're a terrible mother. There's no shame in being a career woman. You have nothing to be ashamed of. I wasn't gonna let Owen Grant destroy our family mom. I knew that if I confessed, then he'd want nothing to do with you anymore. I had to save this family. Are you really willing to miss out on an opportunity to someday become a part of the most powerful duo Valley Park has ever seen after you become the new CEO of Russo Jewelers? Come on, Viv. What do you say? I like the sound of that. I thought you would. What do you think the Dorvals will do if Keeve doesn't end up behind bars? I'm not sure, but I'll do whatever it takes to keep them from going after my son. I was wondering when you'd show up. Then you should know that this isn't a friendly visit, Owen. My daughter might go to prison and it's all your fault. Udell, if you're here to offer to defend my son, then I'm sorry to tell you that Harley beat you to it. Besides, from what I understand, your daughter needs your full attention. I can't be your lawyer, Commissioner Burke, because you've been served. I really can't wait to spend more time with you in public. You sure about that, Pacho? Cause we can't be kissing each other like this with other people around. I'm serious. I'm looking forward to the day I can take you out to fancy restaurants, take you on trips, and brag to the entire world about the wonderful girl I've got in my life. Woman, I ain't been a girl for a while now, but just be patient, Pacho. Once I become the next CEO of Russo Jewelers, you can take me out to as many places as you like. Then what's taking so long, Viv? What's the next step you're gonna take to make Russo Jewelers your company? Hello, Elvira. Long time no see. I'm not sure if you want to see me, but I came by to wish you a happy birthday. I know it's only a few weeks away, but I'm not sure if I'd be welcomed at the Labor Day picnic at your family's estate. I also came here to apologize. I'm sorry that I never noticed that there was anything going on between you and Devante. I'm so sorry for standing beside the man who put you here. Isabel? Wanda, you've got to believe me. Seeing Yvette get into legal trouble was the last thing I wanted. Because what you clearly wanted was to tear my family apart. If D.A. Russo gets her way, then your wish will finally come true. Except you won't have me. I'll try to figure out some way to keep Yvette from going into prison. But I just wish that you would have told me the truth from the very beginning. Don't you try to turn this around onto me, Owen. Not when you tried to turn me against my own husband. What is this, Udell? Open it up and all of your questions will be answered. Keith is already dealing with enough. He doesn't need to deal with this either. If your son goes to prison, then you won't have to worry about this at all. Theodore Vows really filed to have a restraining order put against my son. Are you surprised? But Keith and Vanessa attend the same school. Then send Keith to another school, or else he'll be arrested for getting anywhere near Vanessa or JJ. Once this goes through, if Keith did anything to my daughter, then I'd want her to be in a safe learning environment. The next step is to finally get shares to the company. That's a given. But how exactly do you plan to get the shares to the company, Viv? I don't see any of the Russos handing it over to an illegitimate family member. No offense, Viv. None taken. But one member in that family will have no choice but to hand over their shares to me. At least, some of it. Are you gonna try and get Lorenzo to hand over his shares to you? Nah, not when I'm trying to take the company from him. I'll be going after the other big fish, and that will be Clarice's shares. I'm sorry, Isidore. I'll be on my way out. Wait, you don't have to leave right away. There's really no reason for me to stay any longer. Not when I've already spent enough time at your sister's grave. I never really got to visit her grave before, especially after I found out that Devante was the one who took her life. You needed to get your head straight before turning up here. I can't say I blame you, Isabel. Most of all, I can't judge you for waiting. I'm always busy myself, and that keeps me from visiting my own sister's grave often. Your family is going through a lot lately. How is Max doing after Yvette's confession and with Keith Burke's actions? If you're talking about the kiss, Wanda, then that should be the least of our worries. Don't you agree? No, I don't agree, Owen. Why do you think Yvette confessed to lying about Max Russo? I just assumed that she had a guilty conscience for all these months. She did feel guilty, which is why she dropped the charges. So no, the Russos didn't pressure her to do anything. Yvette went on to confess to lying because she overheard you and I on the phone talking about our moment. Wanda, I'm so sorry. I never intended for your daughter to find out that way. Well, she did. Why couldn't you just leave me alone after Independence Day? Yvette confessed to keep you away. Wait a minute. If I'm understanding this correctly, Yvette confessed because of what she heard about us? That's why you're blaming me for her facing charges? Why else? Because I thought you heard that I was the prosecutor on the case. Finnegan received the letter. As you can imagine, he wasn't happy. His feelings is the last thing I'm concerned about. Thank you for your help, Udell. Isn't it a bit too soon to file a restraining order against Keith? The trial hasn't even started yet, Jeremiah. It's better to be safe than sorry. The school year will start sooner than we know it, Shelley. I'm not gonna have our children walking in the hallways where they could possibly bump into Keith until the trial. Do you really think that Commissioner Burke would just send Keith to the high school as if nothing happened? I didn't expect him to try and keep his son from going to prison, which only makes Commissioner Burke as unpredictable as his son. I'll get it. How dare you show up here? How dare you try and sabotage my son's future? How do you plan to get Clarice to hand over her shares to you when she wanted you to have nothing to do with the family or the company? You can't forget that Clarice never told a soul that Lorenzo got my mama pregnant with me. I could use that against her potshot. Just to be clear, you're gonna blackmail her into handing over her shares? Blackmail sounds so dirty. The plan was always to go after her shares cause she was an easier mark. Then why haven't you gotten Clarice's shares yet? It's a relief that Maximilian's name is finally cleared. In return, that creep, Keith Burke, his name is tarnished, which makes the scandal in my family seem irrelevant. At least things are getting better, especially since you didn't have to sacrifice other people like you did with Quinlan and Dr. Murphy. Isabel, I hope you understand that I don't see others get hurt for fun. When it comes to protecting my family and the business, outsiders just end up getting hurt. But even people in your own family end up getting hurt because you've always wanted to be on top as a door. Fair, but don't ever forget, I wanted you beside me. I still do. Don't start. The distance between us all summer has been torture. I know that I've hurt you, Isabel, but has that truly stopped you from loving me? Can you honestly tell me that you've just been fine without me in your life? What on earth are you doing near my daughter's grave? You're prosecuting my baby? You're sick. I tried to decline it, Wanda. What made you accept it? Did Heidi offer you a raise? An advancement in your career? She pretty much forced this case onto my hands. Besides, progressing in my career is not worth seeing Yvette end up in prison. It's not worth hurting you. Like I told you before, I will do whatever it takes to keep Yvette from being separated from you and Udell. And I'm supposed to believe that? You were so eager to put Max Russo behind bars when you thought he harmed Yvette. Why would you put your career on the line to keep Yvette from facing the same punishment? Because I love you, Wanda. That's why. I'm in love with you. The very thought that you can lose precious time with your daughter troubles me. But I promise that I'll do everything I can to make it right. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again, Owen. This is how Yvette got herself into the mess she's in right now. Udell is her father, and he's gonna figure out how to get Yvette a lesser punishment than you're commanded to give her. What's going on here? Has your son informed you that he filed a restraining order against my son? Why are you mad? It's your son who terrified Vanessa. You're the police. You know he should be in jail for everything he's done. My son hasn't harmed Vanessa, never laid one finger on her. And with this restraining order, we're gonna make sure it stays that way. Since you're supposedly protecting your child, I'm gonna make sure to protect mine. Aren't you a Christian family? Where's the forgiveness? Don't try to weaponize our faith against us. Listen, we have no deep hatred for you or your son at all. Exactly. God entrusted my wife and I to protect the children he gave to us. Besides, forgiving someone doesn't mean that we gain back the trust we lost in that person. You're not gonna drive Keith out of the high school. I'm gonna fight this restraining order, just like I'll fight to keep Keith out of prison. If I just confronted Clarice and forced her to give me the shares, it would have been a risk. Maybe she wouldn't have told Lorenzo, but she could have told her sons or her grandsons who I was. In order to get her shares, I gotta convince her that I ain't coming after her company. How are you gonna do that, Viv? When the time is right, I'll simply ask her to give me what she robbed me of. But that's why I need to make sure that the family gives her the side eye before then. That way, she'd have no choice but to continue to stay silent that I'm her husband's bastard child. Answer me. Why are you disturbing my Pearl's resting place? I'm about to leave, Clarice. I came here to pay my respects. Your respects? You don't know the meaning of the word. Not for her, not for Isidore, and not for his child who you got rid of. Mom, that's enough. I'll be on my way now. I really hate that you're throwing Isabel's biggest regret in her face. Do you plan to do that whenever you see her for as long as you live? She wouldn't have regretted getting rid of your child if she had done what any sensible mother would have done and carried that baby to term. That woman knew better. I will always look at her as the woman who robbed me of another grandchild, especially a potential granddaughter. I'm warning you, Isidore, if you let that slayer back into your life, then you'll be making a grave mistake. Do you hear yourself? Does it not matter how I feel about Isabel? How I'm trying to reconcile with her? What is the matter with you? When have you become so sloppy? Bringing Defante's wife into your father's home, falling for her again, and even hiring that Vivian, whatever her last name is? I still don't trust that girl, and you continue to have her in your sphere without keeping a close eye on her. Jones. Vivian's last name is Jones, and she's been the best intern I've ever had in my career. Jones? That's right. I beg you, Mom, the next time you see me speak with Isabel, just turn the other cheek. Jones. Vivian's last name is Jones. Why would you put your career on the line to keep Yvette from facing the same punishment? Because I love you, Wanda. That's why. I'm in love with you. The very thought that you can lose precious time with your daughter troubles me, but I promise that I'll do everything I can to make it right. Now I'll pray that he gets his life together, Nichelle, but I also hope you make the right choice. You don't have to answer. I think I do, Vanessa. The feelings I had for you before we became friends, Jones. Vivian's last name is Jones, and she's been the best intern I've ever had in my career. Jones? Jones. Vivian's last name is Jones. What's wrong, Udell? You won't believe it when I tell you. Tell me what? That Owen Grant is a prosecutor for Yvette's case. Do you know if you'll have to testify when Yvette shows up to court? I don't know. I really hope that I don't, because you'll have to testify against Keeve as well. That's a part of it, but I don't want to have to relive what Yvette put me through, Ben. I want to move on from it. Besides, Vanessa needs as much support as she can get. Thankfully, she still wants me by her side. Why wouldn't she want your support, Max? Because not too long ago, I kissed her like an idiot. And you claim you're not an addict? I'm doing good, Mama. Yes, I miss you too. Mama, I really need to go. Yeah, I love you too. Mrs. Russo, what are you doing here? I can't believe it. I certainly can. Someone who claimed to be your friend accepts an offer to try and put our daughter in prison. What if Heidi gave him no choices? Oh no, I feel like Owen had a choice. And I wouldn't be surprised that he'd agree to prosecute Yvette for getting back at you over ending the friendship. I knew that your friendship with Owen would only lead to disaster. Are you trying to blame me for this, Udell? I didn't expect you to surprise me like this, Max. Trust me, Ben, it was a surprise to me too. Most of all, Vanessa was surprised. Does this mean you two are an item? Vanessa only wants to remain as friends. Did Vanessa not like the kiss? All that matters is that Vanessa didn't immediately kick me out of her house. If she only wants me to be her friend, then I'll respect her enough to be her friend, even though you clearly want to be more than just her friend. Do you enjoy scaring people? I wasn't trying to scare you, Zeke. You didn't even notice me walking into the apartment. Don't try and pretend like you weren't fixated on what you've been watching. You gonna run and tell Nichelle? I didn't tell her that you had a problem to begin with. There you go, calling it a problem again. Maybe you should focus on the problem in your relationship. Fine, but do you want your relationship to be as complicated as mine? If you lose Nichelle, then what? Do you want to end up like your dad? Mrs. Russo? Did you hear me? What could I do for you? Nice place you have, Vivian, even though it's a bit small. I'm the only one who lives here. That doesn't mean you don't want a place a little bigger to live in. What do you want, Mrs. Russo? What do you want, Vivian? I'm not blaming you, Wanda, but since your friendship is broken and because Owen found out that Yvette lied this entire time, I'm worried that he might be extremely tough with her in court. Maybe Owen might go easy on her. Are you sure? Like I told you before, I will do whatever it takes to keep Yvette from being separated from you and Udell. I just have a feeling, Udell. I certainly wish I could be as optimistic as you are, but this case can't rely on your feelings. Owen must feel absolutely betrayed after Yvette's confession. He most likely won't show any mercy. But Owen and I are really good friends, Udell. You know how Owen and I became so close. Just leave it alone, Ben, and watch you keep your real feelings for Vanessa stay bottled up inside. My friendship with Vanessa means a lot to me. I won't let whatever feelings I have ruin it. But since you care a lot about the girl, you don't have to miss out on the chance to have a closer relationship with her. When you two kissed, did she immediately pull away? No, at least I don't think so. Then take the time to have a serious conversation with her, where you two could both be honest about your feelings. What you mean, Quinn? My dad was never an addict. Maybe not, but do you think he committed to Mom when they were together? What's your point? You trying to say that me cheating on Nichelle the first time around is some sort of gene I got from my dad? What I'm trying to tell you, Zeke, is that he's most likely a lonely man. We haven't heard from him in years after he walked out on you and Mom. And I don't plan to walk out on Nichelle. But you're pushing her away because you refuse to get help. Now I'm confused, Mrs. Russo. What do you mean when you ask what I want? This is my apartment. What made you decide to work at Russo Jewelers? It's a very successful company, and interning at Russo Jewelers would look good on my resume. Don't give me that crap, Vivian. Excuse me? You haven't been completely honest with me when we met. Honest about what? Your last name is Jones. How come you never told me that your last name is Jones? I hope you're not blaming me for our current situation. I'm just reminding you that when you and I were in a rough patch, I needed a friend and Owen was there for me. The friendship I had with Owen couldn't have meant nothing to him. Maybe not when you two were friends. Now, I'm not too sure. Since he knows that we tried to protect Yvette this entire time, your friendship with Owen just might mean nothing to him now. It's not like I was trying to take advantage of him. I truly did care about Owen as a friend. Well, your friendship with Owen is over now. He might not understand how much you cared about him. But don't worry, Wanda. No matter how hurt he feels, I won't let him put Yvette away. Let's say that I tell Vanessa all about my feelings. What do I do if she doesn't feel the same way about me? She told me to forget about the kiss. Does that sound like a girl who thinks of me more than just a friend? Besides, why would I even listen to relationship advice from you? It's not like you're doing much better, Ben. Wow, tell me how you really feel. Ben, I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry. It's alright. You're not wrong. My love life is complicated, but yours doesn't have to be, Max. Just be brave and take the next step. Don't miss out on a relationship that would bring you happiness. Last time I checked, there ain't no sort of rehab for my so-called problem. There are tons of resources that could help you, Zeke. You don't have to be completely healed in one day. It's a process. Nichelle would be relieved if you just take the first step. Do you love the thing that gives you pleasure more than Nichelle? Will you let your pride cost you the girl you claim to love? I do love her. She's the best thing to ever happen to me. When I moved in with you after Mom got arrested, knowing Nichelle is the best surprise I ever got. Then cherish her, Zeke. Do whatever it takes to keep her. What does my last name have to do with anything? I knew someone with the last name Jones a long time ago. In fact, I knew this person a little before you were born. Who are your parents? Isaac and Debbie Jones. My dad's a police officer and my mama is a nurse. Do those two names ring a bell? Have a good rest of your day, Vivian. You have no idea who you're messing with, you bougie hoe. Clear your name? There's nothing to clear, Quinlan. You slept with my father despite the fact that you knew he was much older and was a married man with 2 sons. You're not gonna drive Keith out of the high school. I'm gonna fight this restraining order, just like I'll fight to keep Keith out of prison. You have no idea who you're messing with, you bougie hoe. Why do you seem so troubled, Vivian? I really don't want to trouble you, Mr. Russo. If there's anything I can do, please don't hesitate to ask. I want to make sure that a good worker like you is well taken care of. It's about Mrs. Russo. What about my wife troubles you? She stopped by my apartment the other day. You have no reason to be here, Finnegan. Since Keith is no longer welcomed at my apartment, you and I no longer have anything to say to one another. Keith is still your son, Terry, no matter how much you want to pretend like he isn't. Mom, if you ask me to come here just to tell me to stop seeing Terry, then you'll only be disappointed. Just hear me out, Ellen. Are you truly willing to remain involved with a woman who is a heartless mother? Are you ready to begin the program, Gwendolyn? I signed the contract, so I have no choice but to be ready. Now the world gets to decide if I get a second chance after being exposed as Gianni Russo's mistress. Why was Clarice at your apartment? I don't know what triggered her to stop by, but never mind. Don't do that, Vivian. You can tell me. Mr. Russo, I don't want to speak ill of your wife. Why would you speak ill of her? What did she do? To be honest, she terrified me. Clarice? Terrified you? My wife has never been known to scare anyone. Are you saying that she threatened you? She didn't, but her demeanor was threatening. What exactly did Clarice talk with you about? She wanted to know who my parents were. I'm not pretending that Keith isn't my son. Then why would you kick your only son out of your apartment? In fact, it seems like you kicked him out of your life. Take a wild guess, Finnegan. Besides, it wouldn't have been good for Keith to stay with me when his parents both want different things for his life. Are you kidding me? Keith needs the both of us, now more than ever, Terry. I would have stood by his side if you weren't so eager to keep him out of prison for his heinous crimes. That's it? You just don't think our son deserves a future? I can only imagine how you'd feel with the Dorvals filing a restraining order against him. As if you have any place to judge her. You're literally defending the guy who harmed Maximilian. Keith never physically harmed your cousin Alan, but he will receive discipline. The plan is to just keep him out of prison and get him the help he needs. Something Terry refuses to do. Don't turn this around on Terry. Finnegan should have gotten Keith help a long time ago. In fact, she was trying to help her son by making sure that he paid for everything he's done. That's where you stand? Are you honestly gonna stand there and tell me that you agree with Terry cutting out her only child out of her life? Hey, Ben, what do you want? I wanted to know if you were aware that Quinlan would be discussing her affair with your father on Global News Press. Yes, Mom, I'm aware. Are you gonna watch? I've got better things to do with my life. I'll be watching. Can't wait to see Quinlan make a fool of herself in front of millions of people. Congratulations. Do you feel good about yourself? I didn't mean to upset you, Ben. I assume that you feel extremely embarrassed knowing that Quinlan will explain all of the sordid details about your father's infidelity. This makes no sense. What would make Clarice ask you about your parents? She wondered if she knew them. Have your parents been in Valley Park before? They haven't. If that's the case, then what would lead Clarice to believe that she knew them? Because of my last name, Jones. I can't say that I blame the Dorvals. I would most likely do the same thing if I were in their position.
Who in the world are you? What sort of witch did I marry? Keith attends the same school as their Dorval's Terry.
Then send him to another school. It's not rocket science.
My options as police commissioner of this town are limited, Terry. I'm not sure if I can afford private school. I'm certainly not sending him to go to school in the South Side, and I'm not gonna have him spend the rest of his teen years secluded by other kids and make him do homeschool.
Keith interacted with other kids and blew at Finnegan.
And you haven't even considered that you might have played a role in that?
As a matter of fact, Mom, I do stand by Terry's decision. Why is that? Do you truly think that it's the right decision, or do you want to give Terry the open door to prey on you? I'm 20 years old, Mom. My relationship with Terry is consensual. There is no relationship, Alan. I'm certain that Terry doesn't consider your dirty affair a relationship either. And you think Finnegan considers your relationship with him as something he'd commit his life to? Maybe if he wasn't too busy screwing Heidi and sweeping you off your feet, then he would have realized that his son is a lunatic earlier on.
Quinlan has her own life, Mom. She can do whatever she wants with it.
That doesn't mean her actions can't hurt you, Ben. Why do you think I'm always so hard on her?
We both know you hate her for other reasons than hurting my feelings.
As your mother, I'll always be concerned about your emotional well-being. Whatever the outcome of this news program will be, just remember that I'll always be here for you. Thank you all for being so brave to share your stories. As you all know, I've been in the same position as you all have been when I decided to start an affair with Gianni Russo. Mr. Russo, are you alright?
I'm fine. Who are your parents, if you don't mind me asking?
Isaac and Debbie Jones. My dad's a police officer while my mother is a nurse. But why would my last name spook Mrs. Russo?
It beats me. I'm really sorry about all of that, Vivian. I promise to have a word with Clarice when I get back home.
Please try not to be angry with her. I'm sure she meant well. Don't you dare blame me for everything Keith has done.
Why not? May I remind you how you ended your maternity leave early so that you could go back to work? You're a doctor. Don't you know how vital it is for a baby to bond with their mother when they come into this world? Maybe if Keith knew a mother's love, then he wouldn't have gone overboard with his feelings for Vanessa.
Get out. Since Keith is no longer staying with me, it's your responsibility to figure out what to do about his future. Get out of my office. I can't believe you would speak to me like that. Are you saying that I'm to blame for Keith's actions? I may be dating Keith's father, but you're my son, Alan. You're my responsibility. Not anymore. Besides, if Finnegan has his way, you might end up being Keith's responsibility. And being his stepbrother doesn't suit my style, Mom. And if you have your way, Terry would be my daughter-in-law, something I would never stand for. You might blame Finnegan for Keith's behavior, but Keith grew up with both parents. Maybe she would have noticed something was wrong with her son if she wasn't sleeping with mine. Have fun defending that weirdo in court, Mom. Hope you stop wondering why the family finds more reason to keep on hating you. Sleeping with Gianni is something that I'll always be ashamed of. I'll always be ashamed that I didn't even care to think about his wife's feelings or his son's. Most importantly, his oldest son, Ben. Sure, sleeping with a rich, powerful guy could have brought me a lot of opportunities in life, but sleeping with Gianni might have cost me something much more. A chance at experiencing love, true love. To make this story even messier, I began dating Gianni's oldest son, Ben. When I knew about how I felt about Ben, that's when I ended my affair with Gianni completely. But when Ben found out about my affair with his father, he was furious, and it broke my heart to see him broken. It pains me to know how hurt and embarrassed he still must feel about my affair with Gianni. I just wish I could take all of the hurt and embarrassment away from him. I never imagined that I would ever experience true love until I met Ben. My biggest wish is that he would look past my flaws and allow me to spend the rest of my life with him, the greatest man I have ever come to know, and most importantly, love. It pains me to know how hurt and embarrassed he still must feel about my affair with Gianni. I just wish I could take all of the hurt and embarrassment away from him. I never imagined that I would ever experience true love until I met Ben. My biggest wish is that he would look past my flaws and allow me to spend the rest of my life with him, the greatest man I have ever come to know, and most importantly, love. I came here to pay my respects. Your respects? You don't know the meaning of the word. Not for her, not for Isidore, and not for his child who you got rid of. Mom, that's enough. If that's the case, then what would lead Clarice to believe that she knew them? Because of my last name, Jones. I'll be right there. Ben, what are you doing here? What do you want, Isidore? I came here to apologize for the way my mother spoke to you at the cemetery. Clarice, you and I need to have an important discussion. An important discussion about what, Lorenzo? Why didn't you tell me that you stopped by Vivian's apartment the other day? What's going on, Viv? Clarice found out my last name. I saw you on GNP earlier today. Whoa, I didn't think you'd want to watch it, especially since you'd be reliving some really tough memories. I didn't want to watch it to begin with, but I felt like I needed to hear what you had to say for myself. And you watched the entire thing? Yeah, Quinlan, the entire thing. Then that means you heard me tell the entire world about how much I love you. You don't have to apologize for your mother's actions, especially since she meant every word she told me. Just because she meant it doesn't mean that she wasn't in the wrong. My mother has no right to demonize you whenever you're in the room, Isabel. I try not to let your mother get to me, not when I always think of what I robbed myself of, what I robbed both of us of. What did that girl tell you, Lorenzo? You should know since you were there. It was just a simple meeting. Why do you seem so upset? According to Vivian, she was troubled. I could see it in her eyes, Clarice. Troubled? Please. If she was nervous around me, then she had no reason to be. All I wanted to do was talk to her. About her last name, correct? The name Jones seemed to have caught your attention. We both know A. Jones. What sort of connection did you feel like Vivian had with Shirley? Try to relax, Viv. What makes you think that Clarice is suspicious of you? She came here, Pacho. Clarice confronted me about my last name, and we both know why. But you didn't tell her that your mother's name was Shirley. Of course not. In fact, I told her that Isaac was my biological father and that my mother's name was Debbie. I even gave my mother another profession. Do you think she bought it? I don't know. But I ended up telling Lorenzo earlier today. Are you sure that was a good idea? Like I told you, Quinlan, I heard every word. How did you feel about it? For as long as I've been doing investigative work, I've made sure to enhance my skill in figuring out when someone is being genuine or not. And you sounded genuine. Yes, Ben, I meant every single word. Since you believe that I was completely honest, can we finally move past everything once and for all? Ever since I heard about your decision, not a day has gone by where I haven't thought about the child we could have shared together. But since we'll never get that chance, I'm at least grateful that we each have children of our own. even though Alan often gets on my nerves. But still, I can't imagine life without him. At least you didn't have to deal with those thoughts for years like I have. I'll never get over the fact that I could have had one more child to love on. Instead, I robbed myself of that chance to live a so-called happy life with Devante. For as long as I live, I'll have to live with the fact that I chose my child over a husband I never really knew. Now that I know Isabel, I want you to know that I bear responsibility for your decision too. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know, Clarice? You were certain that there was some sort of connection between Vivian and Shirley when you confronted Vivian in her apartment. It doesn't matter what I thought. When I asked Vivian about it, she assured me that there was no relation. It does matter. We both know that Jones is a common last name, but you were bent on finding out whether Vivian had some sort of connection with our former cook. Please don't hide anything from me, Clarice. What would I be hiding from you, Lorenzo? Is there something you would like to ask me about Shirley? If you ask me, then I promise to be completely honest with you. Telling Lorenzo about Clarice's little visit was the best option, Pacho. How come? He naturally asked his wife about this meeting, which is exactly what I wanted him to do. Don't you think that you're playing with fire? If the two speak about you and end up talking about your mother, that would definitely make both Clarice and Lorenzo suspicious of you, Viv. I respect your opinion, Pacho, but I believe that Clarice would make sure that Lorenzo would be less suspicious of me. You never once told me that I was the greatest guy you've ever come to know. The first time I heard anything like that was on TV. Well, you are the best guy I have ever known, Ben. I'm sorry you didn't hear it straight from me. I'm sorry that I didn't even tell you much earlier. Ben, I'm in love with you. I love you with all of my heart and soul. When I first lost you, when you found out about Gianni and I thought when I lost you that I lost a very vital part of me. Ever since you welcomed me back into your life, I've been afraid of losing you ever since. Please tell me that you believe me. Does that answer your question? I think it does. Quinlan, I'm sorry for making you feel more ashamed over something that you've already felt enough guilt for. Though I won't forget about what happened in the past, I know that it doesn't matter anymore. When I walked out on you, I felt like there was this hole in my life too, which is why I want to do everything I can to work things out with you. Terminating the pregnancy was my choice, and my choice alone, Isidore. I get that, but I shouldn't have let you out of my life that easily after that one night of passion. That one night we conceived a child who would have filled our lives with so much joy. I should have fought harder and expressed my true feelings for you. That way you wouldn't have felt so alone when you made your choice. Even if you tried to win me back, Isidore, I felt guilty for cheating on Devante. I had Pacho to think of, and I had no idea that Devante had cheated on me with your sister. Back then, my only desire was to save my marriage for the sake of the son I already had. And we could have had that discussion if I wasn't such a coward. There's no use thinking about what could have been. Nothing can bring our child back. The two of us have to accept the fact that our child will never have a place in the families that we love so dearly. It has been years since we've seen or even heard from Shirley. What could I possibly have to ask about her, Lorenzo? Alright, since you have no desire to dig up the past, does this mean you'll leave Vivian alone once and for all? Of course, Lorenzo. Of course. Benedict, when you get this message, I need you to call me back immediately. I need you to do everything you can to look into the background of a young woman named Vivian Jones. I cannot go into detail, but it's vital that you do this for me, for the sake of this family's future. You seem confident. When have you known me not to be confident? At this point, Clarice has got no proof that Shirley is my mother, and she certainly has no proof that Lorenzo is my father. And for as long as Clarice has hid me from the Russos, she wouldn't risk exposing the one secret she wanted to keep buried. Maybe Clarice won't tell Lorenzo that you're
his daughter. That doesn't mean she won't keep her eye off of you.
I know. That's exactly how I want it.
Huh?
When I told Lorenzo that Clarice stopped by here, he wasn't too happy. Isidore is still trying to win your mother's heart, and Clarice has got a problem with that. By the time Clarice finds out who I am, I'll have her exactly where I want her. When I told Lorenzo that Clarice stopped by here, he wasn't too happy. Isidore is still trying to win your mother's heart, and Clarice has got a problem with that. By the time Clarice finds out who I am, I'll have her exactly where I want her. There is no relationship, Alan. I'm certain that Terry doesn't consider your dirty affair a relationship either. And you think Finnegan considers your relationship with him as something he'd commit his life to? Maybe if he wasn't too busy screwing Heidi and sweeping you off your feet, then he would have realized that his son is a lunatic earlier on. When I moved in with you after Mom got arrested, knowing Nichelle is the best surprise I ever got. Then cherish her, Zeke. Do whatever it takes to keep her. Just be brave and take the next step. Don't miss out on a relationship that would bring you happiness.
I spoke with Terry, and she knows all about the restraining order the Dorvals filed against Keith.
What did she have to say about it?
To no surprise, she doesn't even seem to care.
Hey Max, why'd you stop by?
To check up on you, of course.
I should be checking up on you since Yvette confessed that you never did anything to her. My name is cleared, so I'll be fine. But if my parents have their way, then I can't say the same for Yvette. Let's worry about that another time. I'm more concerned about you, Vanessa. How are you doing? I feel like I'm supposed to be doing better since my parents filed a restraining order against Keith. Alright, Zeke. If we're only gonna end up going back and forth with one another, then you can walk out that door. I know, Mama. I'm really sorry I ain't visit you all summer. You'll see me soon, I promise. Bye, Mama. Ben, what can I do for you?
Enough of the small talk, Vivian. Whatever scheme you've got cooked up ends right now.
Don't worry about Terry Finnegan. Just focus on making sure that Keith doesn't end up in prison. Let's concern ourselves with getting him the help he needs.
You're right, Harley, but I've been thinking, and I believe that you could be more of a help to my son, other than being his lawyer.
How so?
My offer still stands. I would still like for you to move in with me.
That's amazing, Vanessa. It would sure keep us from having to see Keith at school. Only if the restraining order goes through. My parents told me that Commissioner Burke is trying to fight it so that Keith could remain a student at the high school. I'm beginning to think that Commissioner Burke might be as crazy as his son. Anyone with any sense would know that Keith shouldn't be anywhere near us after the torture he put us through this summer. After everything Keith has done, I've never been so afraid to go back to school in my life. I'm not gonna let Keith ruin senior year for either of us. I promise to keep you safe from him, Vanessa. I promise I ain't come here to start another argument with you, Nichelle. Does that mean you came here to finally admit that you do have a problem? Yeah, you were right the whole time. I do got a problem. What made you finally admit to it, Zeke? I realized that I was spending more time watching what I'm used to than spending my time with you, the person who I love most in this world. Why didn't you agree with me when I pointed out the problem in the first place? What scheme? Besides, I doubt you like it if someone came to your place and started throwing accusations at you, Ben.
You've been lying to my grandmother.
Lying to her about what?
About who you really are.
I didn't steal Vivian Jones's identity. It's my name. You can see it on my birth certificate.
Funny how you mention your birth certificate, Vivian, because the names Isaac and Debbie don't appear on it, like you claimed with my grandmother.
Hold up. You looked at my birth certificate? Is that even legal?
Answer my question first. Imagine my surprise when I saw that your mother's name was Shirley.
The same Shirley Jones who was a cook for my family when I was a little boy. It's not a good time to move in with you, Finnegan. Not when I'm gonna be defending Keeve in court. Then you can move in after this legal mess is over. Moving in so soon after defending Keeve will still complicate things. Harley, if you're worried that Keeve will have an issue with you living here, then I can assure you that you have nothing to worry about. Besides, Keeve needs structure. He needs to see how it's like to have a healthy relationship with someone. I can't move in, Finnegan. It would only complicate things with my own son. Don't try to concern yourself with protecting me, Max. We both know how unpredictable Keeve is. Not that I'm proud to admit it, but I pinned him against a locker, remember? You even saw me push him outside of the mall. I can definitely take him. I don't want you to have to go anywhere near him at all. Maybe he'll be expelled from school after everything he's done. I'm not too sure about that, Vanessa. Not when he did all of this stuff outside of school grounds. Actually, I started getting texts from him at the school before the school year ended. Still, if Commissioner Burke wants him there, then he'll do whatever it takes to keep him at the high school. So if Keeve isn't kicked out of school, then what use is a piece of paper gonna do? If the restraining order goes through, it would only make Keeve angrier. I was scared, Nichelle. Scared of what? Scared that if I admitted to being an addict, then you'd leave me. Didn't I make it clear that I would stand by your side if you agreed to get help? Why couldn't you just trust me, Zeke? It ain't that I couldn't trust you. It's just that I felt like you wouldn't know what you were getting yourself into, staying with someone who's got the sort of problem that I've got. Sounds like you don't know me as well as you think you do. I don't know what to tell you, Ben, but you made a mistake. We both know I didn't. Stop speaking like a criminal by denying the obvious, Vivian. Why couldn't you tell my grandmother the truth when she asked you about it? Alright, fine. I'll stop playing around. But you ain't asking the right questions, sweetie. What are you talking about? Why was your grandma so eager to figure out who my parents were? Why was she so certain that Shirley was my mama when there are hundreds of people with the name Jones? I'll give you that. She wouldn't tell me, but I do find it strange that the family cook's daughter would be working at the family company without telling anyone who she really is. It ain't strange at all, Ben. Why not? 'Cause your granddaddy slept with my mama. Alan needs to grow up and learn to accept that I'm not leaving your life anytime soon. He has no control over who you're involved with. That's right. He has no control over it, but that's something he'll never accept. Especially not now. What's that supposed to mean, Harley? Is it because of what's going on with Keeve? Just leave it alone, Finnegan. I've tried to leave it alone when it comes to Alan, but since he's such a brat, it's keeping the two of us from moving forward in our relationship. I'm gonna have a word with him and stop him from interfering in our relationship once and for all. If you confront Alan, then it will cause him to say some things that he'll end up regretting. Like what? You just have to trust me, Finnegan. I trust you with my life. As for your son, I wouldn't even trust him with telling me what time it is on the clock. Most of all, nothing he says can ever hurt my feelings. Just leave it alone. I'm not gonna hurt him, Harley. I respect you too much to ever lay a finger on your son. Besides, it wouldn't be a good look if a police commissioner goes on punching people. But I'm having this conversation with him whether you like it or not. You can't. Why not? What's the worst thing that could happen? He'd tell you. Tell me what? He'd tell you. My son would say that he's sleeping with your ex-wife. Don't give him that power over you. There's no way Keeve will ever hurt you or anyone else again. Not when everyone knows what sort of freak he is. Ulissa always knew, but I didn't even listen. Only if I did, he wouldn't have been watching me in my room for months. If I didn't even put two and two together, then he'd be watching me for about a year now. Just thank God that we figured out what he's been up to. Like I told you, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that he doesn't get anywhere near you ever again. I care about you way too much to let him try and hurt you. You care about me, like a friend, right? Well, like a friend, Max? I'm not gonna lie to you, Vanessa. I do care about you, but not just as a friend. I think I've always cared about you, much more than just a friend. I took you back after all the signs told me to drop you and never look back. And you thought I'd just leave your side once I saw you suffering? I wasn't sure, Nichelle. My parents left me. To be fair, my mom ain't had a choice.
Except her actions landed her in prison and she ain't think about me at that moment. I couldn't risk having you leave me. I'm not like your parents, Zeke. I'm gonna stand right beside you and help you fight your battles. I promise. My grandfather did what? And I've got proof. It's not that I don't believe you, Vivian, it's just Alright. It explains why you didn't tell my grandmother who you really were, but it still doesn't explain why you're working at Russo Jewelers. Let me ask you another question, Ben. Did you ever know why my mama stopped being your cook and left Valley Park? No, I never did. Here's the tea. After your grandma found out your grandpa slept with my mama, it was your grandma who kicked my mama out of your family's estate and made her leave town. Your grandmother ain't as sweet as she makes herself to be. So what? You're in Valley Park working for my family to get revenge when your mother was in the wrong? I know you ain't slut-shaming my mama when your grandfather was old enough to be her daddy. I didn't say that, but my grandparents have been married for years. Obviously, my grandmother was crushed. She was the victim in all this. The victim? Please, it was your grandmother who kept me from what I was entitled to. Entitled to what, Vivian? You solved your Auntie Elvira's case, didn't you? Solve this mystery for me, Ben. Here's some clues. I told you that I had proof that your grandfather slept with my mama. I've got another clue for you. What happens when two people hook up and neither of them have protection? That's kind of tricky when two outcomes can happen. One hint is that your granddaddy had a clean bill of health. As for my mama, she made a few hospital visits throughout several months. No, that can't be right. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Time's up, man. Here's the answer you've been waiting for. I'm living proof that your granddaddy cheated on poor old Clarice with my mama. Maybe I should formally introduce myself, Benedict. Hello, nephew. I'm your Auntie Viv. I care about you way too much to let him try and hurt you. You care about me, like a friend, right? Well, like a friend, Max? I'm not gonna lie to you, Vanessa. I do care about you, but not just as a friend. I think I've always cared about you, much more than just a friend. He'd tell you, my son would say that he's sleeping with your ex-wife. No, that can't be right. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Time's up, man. Here's the answer you've been waiting for. I'm living proof that your granddaddy cheated on poor old Clarice with my mama. Maybe I should formally introduce myself, Benedict. Hello, nephew. I'm your Auntie Viv.
What are you two doing here?
Were you expecting someone else?
I wasn't expecting anyone, Finnegan. Especially you and your little girlfriend.
Are you sure you weren't expecting your little boyfriend, Alan? Hey, Yvette. I was wondering when we'd bump into each other again.
Max, what happened between us several days ago, that kiss, it's messing with your head. You're confused. Don't say another word.
I'm not confused, Vanessa. I care about you. A lot. How are you my aunt? I'm older.
Sometimes people are older than their aunts and uncles. These are one of those cases where the aunt is younger.
What makes you so sure that my grandfather is your father?
I'm smarter than I look, Ben. I got a DNA test and I'll show it to you right now. How pathetic. You are that eager to tell him, Harley.
Don't you dare call me pathetic. And for your information, I wasn't eager to tell Finnegan at all. In fact, you should be grateful that I'm here.
Why should I be grateful?
Because if I was alone in this room with you, Terry, then you would see a side of me that you would not want to meet.
You've got me shaking in my boots, Finnegan. Why are you so bothered, since we both have clearly moved on?
Because I'm enraged that you've been spending your time sleeping with a spoiled little brat while our son was messing up his life.
What are you doing here?
Getting fresh air.
Why at a public place? Especially after everyone knows that you've been stalking Vanessa.
I really wish people would stop saying that.
Stalking Vanessa is exactly what you did, Keith. And I can't wait for you to end up in prison where you belong.
You kinda sound jealous, Yvette. Maybe if you gave me what I wanted during your party, then I might have never given Vanessa a second thought.
Can you say something, Vanessa? What do you want me to say?
Whatever is on your mind.
I don't even know what to think, Max. You and I have been friends for months. Now all of a sudden, you're sharing your undying love for me. Is that why you tried to be my friend after you got saved? All of a sudden you find Jesus and thought I would be the one who God wanted you to marry?
When I agreed to be your friend, I genuinely wanted it to stay that way.
Then how come we're having this conversation?
Because I suppressed the true feelings I've always had for you, Vanessa. Throughout this whole time we've been friends, can you honestly say that you didn't have any deeper feelings for me once? After seeing the DNA test for myself and hearing how my grandmother kicked your mother out, hiding it from my grandfather, I can't doubt you.
Glad we're on the same page, especially since DNA don't lie.
I don't know what to say. In fact, I have the urge to apologize.
Apologize for what, Ben? You couldn't do nothing. You were only just a little boy when this all went down.
At least I fully understand why you didn't tell my family you were Shirley's daughter when you applied at Russo Jewelers. But Vivian, why didn't you tell your mother that you overheard her admitting to who your father was?
You have no room to judge me, Finnegan. Not after you cheated. Not since you're the one who destroyed our marriage. On top of that, you spent free time with Harley.
At least I wasn't sneaking around with her all summer like you were with Ellen.
Hypocrites! Both of you. You two started off as a secret affair. A lawyer sleeping with her client. At least Finnegan and I are close to the same age. Alan is closer to Keith's age, Terry. So what? I'm sleeping with a 20-year-old man. What's the worst you can do?
Maybe I'll just go to Quinlan Franklin and tell her that the chief of staff at Valley Park Memorial Hospital is sleeping with an heir to the Russo fortune.
I bet it would make your day if I was jealous. Clearly, I'm not. Did you forget that you wanted to pretend like I was Vanessa while you pinned me on my bed and try to force yourself?
Force myself to do what, Yvette?
You know exactly what you did, Keith. Now get out of my way.
No.
Get out.
No.
Keith, if you get any closer, then I swear I'll scream. What do you even want from me? We were supposed to forget about the kiss, Max.
I tried, Vanessa, and I'm sorry. I couldn't forget about it. Did you honestly feel nothing when we kissed?
This conversation is ridiculous. You and I are never going to be an item.
You're not answering the question. There have been plenty of chances where I could have tried to have win your heart. But because I knew you only wanted me to be your friend, I stepped back. Even Ben tried to get me to try and pursue you just to prove that Keith was your stalker. But I respected you too much not to be anything more than just your friend.
Wait a minute. Ben tried to get you to do what? I ain't want my mother to try and stop me from finally meeting my father.
And that's why you came here to Valley Park and work at Russo Jewelers just to meet my grandfather?
That's all I wanted, Ben. To finally know what sort of man Lorenzo Russo was for myself.
But why know him as his employee?
Vivian, you could take another DNA test and you would match with my grandfather.
Why didn't you just tell him? Why don't you want to tell him?
'Cause neither of us know how he'd react after finding out he got the help pregnant.
My grandfather can be a manipulative, power-hungry man, but family still means everything to him.
The sad part is that he can be controlling. But if he knew that you were his daughter, he would welcome you with open arms. How are you so sure, Ben?
I remember how broken he was after Elvira lost her life. He would have been overjoyed to know that he had another daughter out there.
I ain't Elvira though, and he'd know that the very second he actually got to know me. As for Clarice, we both know how she'd react if she was 100% certain of who I am. Clearly, she's still suspicious, or else she wouldn't have gotten you to look into my background. Are you gonna tell your grandma who I am? Are you that bothered that I'm actually spending time with a man other than you? That you'd put my career on the line?
If your affair with Alan is as innocent as you claim, then what's the worst that could happen if it gets to the news?
And are you okay with this, Harley? Are you actually willing to put your son's family through yet another scandal?
If it helps to keep you away from my son for good, then it would be worth it. If you don't want our son to know about your affair, then you'll end your affair with Alan by the end of the week. Maybe if you didn't disown our son just so you could seduce a young man more than half your age, then you wouldn't be in such a predicament. Choose wisely, Terry. What could you do for me? I'm glad you asked, Yvette. You can make sure that I don't get into any more trouble than I'm already in. Don't tell anyone you saw me, since I'm not really allowed outside of the house. I also want you to make sure that Zeke keeps his mouth shut about what went on at your party. He doesn't know what he walked in on.
Fine. Can you please just get out of my face?
At least you said please. Good luck in court, Yvette. I think you'll need it. I wasn't gonna go along with Ben's plan, Vanessa. I promise you I wasn't gonna do it.
Save it, Max. The thought that you even told anyone else about these so-called feelings just makes me... You know what, Max? Just get out.
Vanessa, please. We need to talk about this.
Don't tell me what I need to talk about in my house. Get out.
You have my word that I won't tell my grandmother about who you really are. I'll just tell her that you were right about when you told her who your parents are.
Why would you want to protect me like that? Sure, I'm your auntie, but you don't know me at all.
After everything you've told me, you've been robbed of so much before you were even born over a situation you had no control over. It's your life, Vivian. Your secret. It's not my place to expose it.
Just so you know, my internship is going to end before the end of the year. Once it's over, I'm leaving Valley Park.
Why? Is there anything that would make you change your mind about leaving?
Nothing. Like I told you, the only reason why I came was to find out who Lorenzo Russo was for myself. That's it. I don't want nothing from him or your family. I lived my whole life without Russo money. I'll be okay without it.
I don't doubt that you'll be able to take care of yourself. But I don't want you to leave town empty-handed if you still plan to leave. Maybe I'll make sure to sign over half of my Russo Jewelers shares to you.
Ben, I'm serious. I don't want a single cent from you, Lorenzo, or any other Russo. Those shares were given to you. They're your birthright.
Russo Jewelers is your birthright too, Vivian. What my grandmother did it was messed up. But you shouldn't have been punished for what my grandfather and your mother did. Besides, I want nothing to do with the company. You already work there, so you might change your mind in the future and actually want to have a big part of the family company.
I don't know what to say.
Use the remainder of your internship to know that at least one person in this family has your back if you do decide to tell my grandfather you're his daughter. Like I told you before, my grandfather spent 20 years without a daughter. He wouldn't let go of the only chance he has to know the only living daughter that he does have.
Thank you so much for your generous gift, nephew. Thank you for giving me the first step to take over the company. Sorry I had to lie about my true intentions. I'm so sorry, Ben. Those shares were given to you. They're your birthright.
Russo Jewelers is your birthright too, Vivian. What my grandmother did it was messed up. But you shouldn't have been punished for what my grandfather and your mother did. Because I suppressed the true feelings I've always had for you, Vanessa. Throughout this whole time we've been friends, can you honestly say that you didn't have any deeper feelings for me once? If you don't want our son to know about your affair, then you'll end your affair with Alan by the end of the week. Maybe if you didn't disown our son just so you could seduce a young man more than half your age, then you wouldn't be in such a predicament. Choose wisely, Terry. What's the update you need to share with me, Viv?
It's Ben.
What about him?
He knows who I am. He knows that Lorenzo is my father. Thank you for meeting with me, Benedict. Thank you for agreeing to help. What did you find out about Vivian?
What are you so moody for, Vanessa? Vanessa, please, we need to talk about this.
Don't tell me what I need to talk about in my house. Get out. Don't worry about it, JJ. Does it have to do with the restraining order filed against Keith? Are you worried that it might not go through? What's going on, Dr. Murphy? Finnegan knows about us, Alan. What? How? I certainly didn't say anything. Clearly, you didn't say anything. Wait a minute. Are you saying that my mother finally told him? Bingo.
Of course, Clarice would try to get Ben to look into you. I knew her suspicions wouldn't work for your favor.
Your concerns were valid, but it actually did work in my favor, Pacho.
What do you mean? Ben knows that Lorenzo is your father because he was on a job for his grandmother.
And he agreed to stay silent.
How are you so sure that you can trust him, Viv?
Cause Ben offered to sign over half of his shares of Russo Jewelers to me.
Vivian wasn't lying when she told you that she has a father named Isaac and a mother named Debbie.
Are you sure?
I'm sure, Nona. Not to brag, but I'm pretty good at what I do.
I don't doubt that, Benedict, which is why I hired you instead of some stranger. Even though Vivian told me the truth, I still can't shake this feeling that she's hiding something from me.
You told me that you were worried that Vivian might be Shirley's daughter or related to Shirley somehow. I don't remember much about Shirley except how sweet she was. Why were you so worried about a relation between her and Vivian?
What do you think about it, JJ?
I don't see why it wouldn't go through. Not when the teddy bear he gave you is all the proof the court needs.
I don't even want to hear or even think about that creepy teddy bear ever again.
Sorry for bringing it up.
We've got plenty of other rooms in this house in case you forgot. Is sleeping on the couch such a bad thing?
Not really. I'm just hoping that you don't avoid sleeping in your own room forever because of what Keith did.
How come my mom would do this to me? Probably because she's a bitter lady. And what does Finnegan have to gain for trying to tear you and I apart? He never cared about my happiness, Alan. Now that I've cut Keith out of my life, he wants me to pay for protecting my peace. Finnegan should be more angry at Keith than with you. It doesn't erase the fact that Finnegan knows about us and will use that knowledge as a weapon. Because of that, you and I need to stop seeing one another, Alan.
Ben is signing over half of his shares to you, Viv? Why? Does he expect something in return?
He wants nothing to do with Russo Jewelers. And since he heard how Clarice pretty much banished my mother, he felt like I deserved the shares to begin with.
Guess Ben cares more about family than I thought. But this is amazing. You finally got shares to the company. It's a big step to finally making this hostile takeover a success. I'm amazed that you were able to turn Clarice's scheme to your favor.
But I was trying to go after Clarice's shares first. Yeah, I'm happy that I get to take this next step in the takeover, but this ain't how I wanted it to happen.
You know that I don't believe in coincidences, Benedict. It was too much of a coincidence for two different Jones to work for our family. A coincidence is all it was, Nona. Jones is a common last name. But why would Vivian not want to mention her last name when meeting me? Maybe she didn't get the chance to bring it up. One thing that's clear is that Vivian isn't Shirley's daughter. But you told me that I needed to find out for the sake of the family. What did you mean by that, Nona?
I know that there are other rooms, JJ. And I know that I probably shouldn't avoid my room forever. But we welcomed Keith into our lives and gave him access to things he had no business getting access to.
And I'm to blame for that.
You're not. Keith took advantage of us, our entire family.
But the more I think about it, I realize that I ignored all of the red flags Keith gave.
That's what usually happens when a friend betrays you. It's crazy that we'll have to face Keith in court soon. I can't believe I have to face him at all. We can figure something out, Dr. Murphy. The two of us just don't have to leave each other just because your jerk of an ex-husband says so. I'll get my mom to get Finnegan to back off. Your mother won't agree, Ellen. She doesn't want you and I to have anything to do with each other. You don't deserve to be treated this way, and you don't deserve to have to live through another family scandal. Does it have to be a scandal? You and I are both two adults who are seeing one another. Why not beat Finnegan to it and go public? Absolutely not. Especially since your father would cause major issues for me if he finds out.
To be fair, Viv, you didn't plan to get the shares by honest means, 'cause I saw the Russos as my enemy. Except I ain't think Ben would hand over his shares to me just like that. He's proven himself to be trustworthy, but I still can't trust him enough to tell him my true plan. Now that Ben knows who you are, what do you plan to do about it? I'm gonna have to get close enough to my nephew to keep him far from what I'm doing. Since Vivian and Shirley share no relation, then it doesn't matter. What would it have meant for you if Vivian was Shirley's daughter, Nona? Some things are better left unsaid. Alright, I really hope that whatever you're hiding doesn't come back to bite you. Keith can't hurt you anymore, Vanessa. It feels so embarrassing to be afraid of a kid who's the same age as my younger brother. After everything Keith put you through this summer, you have a right to be concerned. Is everything okay, you two? Yeah, Mom, we're okay. C'est vrai? Vanessa and I were talking about the restraining order, Mom. She wonders if it will... I promise to make sure that it does, JJ. What sort of problems do you think my father is going to cause for you, Dr. Murphy? But you know that I won't let him hurt you. I don't want your father or the public to know about us, Alan. All right, okay. But what I refuse to do is let Finnegan tear you and I apart. I'm not going to let it happen. At least you said please. Good luck in court, Yvette. I think you'll need it. It's crazy that we'll have to face Keith in court soon. I can't believe I have to face him at all. But what I refuse to do is let Finnegan tear you and I apart. I'm not going to let it happen. Hey, Mom. Is there something you'd like to tell me? Terry told you that I spoke with Finnegan, didn't she? She certainly did. Now get your boyfriend to back off. Are you ready to face Keith in court, Vanessa? I'm not ready at all, especially since I'm afraid of what Keith might do regardless of the outcome. What's got you so upset, Max? I might have lost Vanessa for good. Dad, can I speak with Mom alone? What do you need to speak with your mother about that you can't tell me? It's just female stuff, Dad. I promise it won't be long. Alright. What is it, Yvette? Mom, no matter what the judge decides, can you promise me that you won't tell Dad about you and Owen? Finnegan will stay out of your way, Alan, as long as Terry drops you. Since I already spoke with her, that clearly won't happen. If Finnegan doesn't back off, then he won't enjoy the consequences he'll face. As an attorney, I advise you not to make threats against a police commissioner. Why am I not surprised that you're choosing his side over mine, your own son? If the restraining order goes through, Vanessa, then Commissioner Burke will have no choice but to keep Keith away from you and your family. As if Keith is the sort of boy to listen to his parents. Besides, Commissioner Burke already proved that he has no control over his son. I just hate how it's going to take a while for Keith to be tried for anything he did to me so that he can be locked up. I doubt Keith would be stupid enough to pull anything crazy before the trial or before the hearing for the restraining order. Only if I could be that positive, Yulissa. I'm concerned that Keith's insanity has more influence on him than common sense. What happened with Vanessa? I listened to your advice, and it backfired on me, Ben. It wasn't my intention to make things worse for you. But you knew things would possibly get worse, though. Instead, I ignored my gut and listened to you. What exactly did Vanessa tell you when you admitted how you felt, Max? She made it clear that she wanted to forget about the kiss. You've gotta stay positive, Yvette. Trust that your father will keep you from having to spend time behind bars. I know that Dad is a good lawyer, but D.A. Russo wants me behind bars and the judge might make the decision that she wants Mom. Besides, Owen might want to put me in prison since he realized he wasted time trying to put Max away. Your father can be very persuasive, baby. There's nothing you have to worry about. Mom, please. If I go down for this, I want to come back home where the family stays together and isn't torn apart. Our family won't be torn apart. Once this is over, all of us are gonna walk out of this building together. Let's go, baby. You know that I'm not choosing Finnegan over you, Alan. Are you sure about that, Mom? Because I was also informed that you weren't gonna stop Finnegan from exposing Dr. Murphy and I. It's not that I want you to face public embarrassment, but I'll do whatever it takes to keep Terry away from you. What makes you so sure that Dr. Murphy is gonna leave me if Finnegan gets his way? Because I'm certain that she's not the sort of person who wants to face public embarrassment. And I'm certain that I'll cut you out of my life if you let Finnegan yap his big, fat, stupid mouth. After everything Keith put you through, I get that you're scared of him, but what's the worst he can do now that he's been caught for what he's done? I'm too freaked out to consider the options, Ulissa. If the restraining order goes through, and I pray that it does, then Keith won't be allowed at the school. Most of all, he won't be allowed to come anywhere near your home. You'll be safe, maybe inside of the school and inside of my house. But what about when I walk out? What would keep Keith from waiting outside for me? You've got your family. You've got me, Vanessa, and you've even got Max. I'm unsure if I'll be keeping Max on my friends list. Huh? How come? What happened between you two? Max kissed me. Did Vanessa tell you that she didn't have feelings for you? Her actions prove that she doesn't, Ben. But you didn't hear from her own mouth that she didn't have feelings for you, Max. If you ask me, Vanessa and I have got something in common. Oh, really? Quinlan and I were able to talk out our issues. Before then, I wasn't willing to admit my true feelings. If I kept it bottled up inside, then Quinlan and I wouldn't be together right now. Good for you, Ben. But you and Vanessa are two completely different people. My situation and your situation with Quinlan aren't the same. Maybe not the same. But don't you want to be 100% certain about whether Vanessa cares about you or not? Your Honor, my daughter has pled guilty. Her actions are inexcusable, and she understands that. We are not looking to be free of any punishment. What I ask is that Miss Mitchell be spared from spending time in prison. She has written a letter for the court if that's okay with you, Your Honor. You may proceed. Hello, my name is Yvette Mitchell, and I would like to apologize to the court for my selfish, reckless actions. When I accused Max Russo of forcing himself onto me, I was only concerned about keeping myself out of trouble and didn't think of the consequences that it would bring. I understand that my lies have caused a lot of harm to Max Russo and his family. I also understand that I've wasted police resources because of my lies. Even though this apology won't erase the fact that my lies sent Max Russo into a deep depression, which could have ended his life, I ask for mercy, as I know that I'll never forgive myself for all of the damage that I've caused to so many people. Do you hear yourself, Alan? Don't you understand what this sick attachment to Terry is making you do? She's manipulating you, Alan. Isidore Russo is my father, remember? I would know if I'm being manipulated, Mom. She's influencing you to turn against me, your mother. I would give my life for you, Alan. As for Terry, she wouldn't even break a nail to save yours. And she's a doctor. Then show it, Mom. Get Finnegan to mind his own business. If you don't, then don't ever expect me to listen to another word you have to say. You and Max what? When? How come I'm now just hearing about this? I didn't say anything because I was trying to forget about it, but Max doesn't seem to want to forget.
Are you saying that Max is beginning to have feelings for you? From what he told me, those feelings never really went away. And you don't share those same feelings? Max and I are better off as friends, Ulissa. Please don't avoid my question, Vanessa. How do you feel about Max? I don't know. And it frustrates me that I don't know what to feel. Hopefully you've prayed about it, because I hope that you don't cut Max out of your life completely over complicated feelings that you two never even discussed. Honestly, Ben, I'm too afraid to find out whether Vanessa cares about me or not. It's best to know for sure instead of living the rest of your life without being 100% sure. But what if Vanessa doesn't truly feel the same way? She's not gonna want anything to do with me anymore, and I don't know how I'm supposed to move on without her. You'll be fine. But I have a feeling that you'd be better off knowing how she truly feels about you, no matter what her response is. Your Honor, the DA's office takes Yvette's deception very seriously. If she didn't drop the charges against Max Russo, then it would have ended up placing an innocent young boy in prison, ruining his life. But when Miss Mitchell realized that, she dropped the charges, and it's clear that her conscience couldn't be clearer until she righted all of her wrongs by confessing that she lied. Because of this, the DA's office will accept Mr. Mitchell's request to not place Miss Mitchell in prison. All right, please rise. Yvette Mitchell, since you have pled guilty and since ADA Grant is not willing to seek you serving prison time, I sentence you to 12 months probation with a $5,000 fine and 120 hours of community service. Miss Mitchell, I hope you learned something from this. Max Russo could have faced a harsher punishment than the one you have just received. I urge you not to forget that daunting fact. Court is dismissed. You would honestly risk your career to go against my wishes as DA? Are you gonna fire me, DA Russo? No, I'll just let Udell come after you as the Mitchell family crumbles. I don't know exactly what happened between you and Wanda, but I know that it's enough to create havoc. Congratulations for avoiding prison time. It's a shame that you're all still gonna pay for what you did to my son. Don't threaten me and my family, Heidi. You've got it all wrong, Udell. I'm not gonna do anything to your family. Your family is gonna be destroyed from the inside out. Just ask your wife. What is she talking about, Wanda? I have no idea, Udell. No idea at all. If the restraining order goes through, and I pray that it does, then Keith won't be allowed at the school. Most of all, he won't be allowed to come anywhere near your home. You'll be safe, maybe inside of the school and inside of my house. But what about when I walk out? What would keep Keith from waiting outside for me? Get Finnegan to mind his own business. If you don't, then don't ever expect me to listen to another word you have to say. Now that Ben knows who you are, what do you plan to do about it? I'm gonna have to get close enough to my nephew to keep him far from what I'm doing. Nice place you got here, nephew. It feels so weird hearing you call me that. Get used to it. I ain't gonna be in Valley Park that long, remember? Like I promised, I'll be handing half of my shares over to you, Vivian. Are you sure you want to do that, Ben? How come you're not at court with your son? Because I don't want to stand beside Cave when he was in the wrong. I think you'd understand that since my son terrorized your nephew. Don't pretend like you care about my best interest, Terry. Not when I know you'd rather screw my son than stand beside your only child in court. I know that you're gonna do community service hours on Labor Day, Yvette. Before you head off to your assignment, would you like to attend the cemetery with your father and I so that we can offer our respects to Elvira for her birthday? I'd rather just go to the place and get it over with, Mom. But I think it's sweet that you and Dad still want to honor Elvira together since we're no longer invited at the Russo Labor Day picnic. I'm even happier that your time with Dad will keep you from thinking about Owen Grant. Seye, nou pre wap bon nou justice. Seye pa pamet machan gen victoire Judea. Nan nan Jezi, Amen. Are you all ready? Ready as we'll ever be. And just to be sure, Mr. Mitchell, I don't have to testify. You leave everything to me, Vanessa. I'll tell the judge everything he needs to know. Don't worry, Vanessa. This restraining order will go through. And we prayed that God would give us justice. We need to trust that God will answer our prayer. Like I've mentioned before, I want nothing to do with Russo Jewelers. As you see, I have a career of my own in this private investigation firm, and I'm content with it. As for you, Vivian, you're a Russo by blood. Clearly, I ain't a Russo by name, and both of my grandparents played a hand in that. You should have been taken care of, but it ain't your responsibility to take care of me, Ben. I understand that, Vivian, but the wrongs need to be made right. I don't have the slightest idea of what you're talking about. How many times do I have to tell you not to insult my intelligence theory? I'm not. Look, Harley and I had a disagreement. She came up with this wild theory that Alan and I are sleeping together. I can't believe she even told you, Isidore. And I can't believe that you're desperate enough to go after my son, someone who was born after you finished med school. Alan and I aren't having an affair. Then make sure that you end things with my son immediately, Terry, or else you'll experience the consequences. I really wish you wouldn't mention Owen's name. Alright, I won't say his name anymore since my legal problems are behind me. Kinda. Most importantly, I'll pretend like he doesn't exist since he'll have nothing to do with his family anymore. Just focus on the upcoming school year, baby. I'll be able to focus on school perfectly fine as long as Owen isn't on your thoughts anymore, Mom. Especially since he went easy on me in court. Your Honor, we're requesting that a restraining order be filed against Mr. Keith Burke to protect my client and his family. Mr. Burke has terrorized my client's daughter for months. For months, Mr. Burke has watched Vanessa Dorval in the comfort of her room without her permission nor her knowledge. According to police reports, he has terrorized her with notes, texts, and even trespassed on my client's property in a mask, terrifying her. Now Vanessa Dorval suffers from nightmares and can't even sleep in her own room. Mr. Burke did not only terrorize Vanessa Dorval, but he also terrorized Max Russo, threatening to take Max's life and even confronted him with a knife. Mr. Burke is a danger to my client and his entire family, which is why this restraining order needs to go through. Ben, let me remind you that you were pretty much a baby when Lorenzo cheated on Clarice. It ain't up to you to right wrongs. You're right, it's up to my grandparents. But you won't even tell my grandfather that you're his daughter, cause I've already got a family of my own. Since Lorenzo ain't raised me, I can't know for sure whether he'd accept me or not. Let me remind you that I've known my grandfather all of my life. He might surprise you, Vivian. Besides, what's the worst that could happen? It's not like he can force me to get my shares back from you. Maybe not, but Clarice could still turn Lorenzo against me. Fine, I'll admit it. I am sleeping with Alan. Not anymore. End it now. I've tried Isidore. He refuses to let me go. Clearly you haven't tried hard enough. And you don't think Alan will grow suspicious if I decide to drop him? No, I don't think so at all, Terry. Just explain that you care about your career more than you care about him. It wouldn't be a lie. Did Finnegan hurt you that much when he cheated on you with Heidi? There's no way you feel like you actually care about Alan. He certainly wouldn't care about you when he finds out you're the reason he never got to meet my grandfather Dante and my grandmother Martina. Owen didn't go easy on you, Yvette. You're on probation and you've got tons of hours of community service to accomplish. It won't be easy, baby, but he stopped me from ending up in prison, and I wonder why. Then stop wondering. I wish I could, Mom, I'm just concerned that he decided not to have me in prison so that he could try to win your heart. Your father won my heart. He won my heart a long time ago. If Dad won your heart, then how come you would ever let Owen kiss you? Your Honor, we're not denying that Mr. Burke has done everything that Mr. Mitchell laid out, but my client is remorseful of all that he has done. Soon he'll be facing trial for everything he has done. I would also like to stress that Keith never physically hurt anyone. Until then, we ask that he at least be allowed to attend the school that he's accustomed to. That way he can have a sense of normalcy and receive the help that he needs. My client knows that he should have no contact with any of the Dorvals at this moment, so a restraining order isn't even needed. He is not a threat to any of the Dorvals and will be on his best behavior as the trial approaches. I have taken serious consideration for both sides, but as you both have pointed out, Mr. Burke's actions have been extremely troubling. Because of his troubling behavior, it is no surprise that the Dorval family fears for their safety. There is no denying that Mr. Burke needs help. Until he can receive that help and truly prove that he is no longer a threat to the Dorvals or anyone else, I will allow the restraining order to go through. My grandmother kept you out of my grandfather's life. He would be furious with her, but Lorenzo never reached out to my mama after she was forced to leave Valley Park. My grandmother made sure that he wouldn't be able to contact your mother, Vivian. Please. Lorenzo had enough resources to find her, leading him to finding me. But that ain't happened. Well, you're his daughter. There's no denying that. You should have those same resources, which is why I'm signing over half of my shares to you. Thank you, Ben. I never expected to say this, but I'm actually glad you found out who I am. Not because of the shares, but I'm glad that I can kinda consider someone on my father's side as family. That's because we are. I'm looking forward to Labor Day, Clarice. You and I have got a lot to discuss. You wouldn't tell Alan about Dante. Don't test me. Not when you know that I'll do whatever it takes to protect my family. When he finds out, he could use what he wants with that information. And you don't think he'd take you down for knowing about what happened to your grandfather? He wouldn't dare. As for you, Terry, he could claim that you're the one who confessed during pillow talk. Alan would never do that to me. Wanna bet? I want to see my son in tears when I get back home, Terry, or else I'll be the one making him cry. Alan, Dr. Murphy, I gave my mom an ultimatum. If Finnegan exposes us, then I'm cutting my mom out of my life. There's no need to do that, Alan. Of course there is. You shouldn't have been threatened like this. We're over, Alan. We're done. And I mean it. I get that you're worried, Dr. Murphy, but just give my mom some time. She'll get Finnegan to back off. I'm not taking that risk. I've worked way too hard to reach the position that I have right now. Don't call me, don't text me, don't even try to show up to my apartment and my office. Being with you was the worst mistake of my life, and it should have never gone as far as it did. Goodbye, Alan. I made a mistake, baby. I'll live with that guilt for as long as I live. If I didn't love your father, then I wouldn't even be hurt that I ever let Owen get that close to me. All right, Mom, I believe you. Owen is a thing of the past, and we'll keep it that way. Yes, we will. I won't let this family be torn apart. Nothing will ever destroy our home. Finnegan, I'm really sorry.
It's okay, Harley. I know you did your best.
Did your best? Having a woman defend me was the worst mistake ever. I wouldn't even be surprised if a judge decides to put me in prison just looking at you, Harley.
Keith.
Just let him go, Finnegan. He's clearly upset and needs some time to himself. Praise God this restraining order has gone through. Now we just need to focus on the trial to see Keith pay for all of the damage he has done. I really want to feel as excited as you all do. Why don't you, Vanessa? Because I feel like this will only be over once Keith is put in prison.